Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt. Anything in the center of your mind that does not allow your body, your thoughts, and your consciousness within the center of yourself, within your hands and your feet, which governs your body, your organs, within your axons and your dendrites, within your frontal lobe, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your body. All of the things in your body are of the, the flesh. But then we look at ourselves as enlightened beings, and enlightened thought, and enlightened beings, and enlightened understanding, wisdom and knowledge, understanding of the Torah, which allows our body to be in subjection. So as we move forward in the fruits of the Ruach: kindness, Ahal, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, and munah, self-control. Move forward in our own mental faculties to bring everything in our body to subjection into the one who sits in the highest Shamayim, in the highest order, Yahushua Mashiach, who sits at his right hand of Yahuwah Elohim, above the Shabai Shamayim, the 7 heavens, above the 13th Shamayim, above all gods, and all rules over all Elohims of the earth. The one who gives and who takes away, the one who wounds, who kills, and makes alive, the one who gives us life and understanding within our thoughts and our mind, and brings our lower self down to the ground, that our higher self may be exalted. So as we move forward in this world, in this 364-day cycle at both male and female, as we move forward as a people, a mishpachah scattered throughout the 4 winds and the 4 corners of the earth, the 12 tribes, and they say all 3 scattered throughout each cycle of a 364-day cycle in each 90 days. And we look at ourselves and we look at our inner being as the light, the ore that must radiate and be the frequency in the earth. And if anyone's opposed to it, then guess what? It's time for you. He says that Yahushua says, he said that he's going to send his Malachi to gather in all his people and to throw everything in that stubble, that the righteous may shine as a light in the earth. And you don't want to be in the way of that. So as we move forward of life in this truth, we move forward in the truth, we acknowledge the one who made all the har of the earth, all of the nahar of the earth, all of the cosmos and the stars, and all of the one who made all of the movement patterns and the frequency of the 7 celestial serpents, and who smites the 7 streams and gives us life and understanding through the streams of water, Yahuwah Elohim. So this yom, as we move forward in the peace and shalom of Yahuwah. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that he has given to us as a gift. And just like we said, we will no wise clear the guilty, not even for ourselves and even for others. Not even for ourselves, but not even for us, ourselves, but not even for others. Right? So this is the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, or say Aleph Kaf. 1 Peter chapter 4, 1 Peter chapter 4, 1 Peter chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 7. 1 Peter 4 and 7. It says, the end of all things are at hand. It's not the end of all things at hand. Everything is getting ready to end. And it says, therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded. He says, be sober-minded and self-controlled. And it says right here, for the sake of your prayers. Right? So you look at your prayers. Look at everything that's happening right now. So you look at your prayers, and it says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly. Right? So we looking at loving one another earnestly. So we look at everything that's happening in the world. All of the hatred and jealousy and envy and strife and complaining and criticism and pride. We look at our own self, and we look at our own self within. And guess what? It says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly. Why? Because if you don't keep loving nobody, if you don't have no love in your heart, Ahab in your heart, there's no way you can get 7 folds of peace within oneself. It says, since love covers a multitude of sins. Right? We look at all the sins that one has committed from birth to present. He said, how are you going to cover all those sins from the time that one has been born until now? You're going to have to continue to love. If you don't have Ahab in your heart, not only for the commandments and the things that's coming, you will not be able to cover all your sins. He said, why? Because all your sins it reached all the way to Shamayim. For Yahuwah is love, and he covers all sin. And he sits in the highest Shamayim, just like a mountain range on a waterfall. And you see all the sins being covered by his love. Because his compassion is extended to the earth. So in order for you to cover all the sins from birth to present, you yourself have to be that same person, and you have to cover all your sins with love and Ahal. which means you got to reconcile all your accounts before you die. It says, show hospitality to one another without grumbling. So we look at all the grumbling and mumbling and grumbling that one has done throughout their life. He said, how many times does one show hospitality throughout their life? And he said, do it without grumbling. Why say grumbling? Because these are the things that the children of Yasharal can't do. It says, as each, verse 10 says, as each has received gift, use it to serve one another. He said, use it to serve who? Serve one another. Yes, serve one another. And it says right here, as good stewards of Elohim, very, very kind. He says, as good stewards. He said, what is a good steward? We look at all the stewardship that one has when they farm, when they take care of animals, when they take on responsibility, whether it's taking care of children, whether it's taking care of people around the earth. He says what? Be good stewards of it. And it says whoever speaks, so whoever speaks, whether male or female, it doesn't matter, speaks as one who speaks the oracles of Elohim. He said the oracles of Elohim. What do you mean the oracles of Elohim? Whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that Yahuwah supplies, in order that in everything Elohim may be glorified through Yahushua Mashiach. He said, how everything going to be glorified? How is your life going to be a kabod in the earth? Just like a man's strength is his koach. Just like a woman's kabod is her kabod, is her hair. Look at all the things that's in the earth, and we look at, just like we said when they put the lamp out, guess what the lamp was for? The lampstand. It's been put out if one is not doing this. Right? He said anyone speaks, let him speak the oracles of Elohim. So we look at the oracles of Elohim. That's whether male or female. That's why in the book of Devarim, chapter 6, it tells you to speak these words when you sit in the house, walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. If you don't speak the oracles of Elohim, then guess what happens? This is Romans chapter 3, verse 1. Romans chapter 3, verse 1. Because if one doesn't speak the oracles of Elohim, this is what happens. This is Romans chapter 3, verse 1. Then what advantage have the Yahudi? He said, what advantage have the Yahudi? He said, what advantage? Or what is the value of circumcision? What's the value of circumcising your life? Afmul or mu. Right? He said, no one should boast about tomorrow. But he said, you don't know what the day may hold. He said, afmul. What advantage have afmul or mul circumcision? Circumcising hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, criticism, pride, adultery, fornication. What profit it has you to circumcise yourself? It says, much in every way. Chiefly, it says to begin with, right, to begin with this, the Yahudim were entrusted with the oracles of God, Elohim. So the oracles have been given to you to speak. And he said, speak these things as become the oracles of Elohim. And he said, you got to do this. Why? Because it says the oracles of Yahuwah. What if some were unfaithful? In some translations, what if some don't believe this? He said, I don't believe this. I don't believe I got to speak the oracles of Elohim while I sit in the house, walk by the way, and lie down and rise up. What if some are unfaithful? Does that faithfulness nullify the faithfulness of Yahuwah? It has nothing to do with anybody. He said, does it nullify it? By no means. Let Yahuwah Elohim be true, though everyone were a liar. So he said, everybody a kazab. He said, why would he say everybody a liar? As it is written, thou shalt be justified in your words and prevail when you are judged. He said, what? He said, what? Everybody a liar. He said, you got to speak these words. He said, why? Just like in the Aramaic Targums in Bereshit chapter 2, he told Adam to do what? He said he breathed into Adam and gave him a speaking ruach, to give him hearing to the ears and sight to the eyes. And these are parts of the people that they don't want to do. Right? This is the book of Psalms. 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 This is the book of Psalms, Tahalim, 116 and 8. This is Psalms 116 and 8. Tahalim 116 and 8. Tahalim Psalms 116 and 8. It says, for you have delivered my soul from death and my eyes from tears. He said, look at all that. How are you going to deliver your soul from death? So you think about all the sins that one committed throughout their life. And he said, you got to cover it with love, Ahal. Because love covers a multitude of sins. So you think about that. He says, what? For you deliver my soul from death. How are you going to deliver your soul from death? And it says, my eyes from tears, my feet from stumbling. How do you say your feet from stumbling? How you going to deliver your feet from stumbling? You got to have light. You got to have order. You got to have something on the inside. I will walk before Yahuwah in the land of the living. How you say you're going to walk before the land of the living? We just talked about in 1 Peter, he said how you supposed to walk. He said, if any man speak, or woman, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. For he said, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my pathway. It's a light for my feet. It lights my way and where I need to go, and how I need to walk, and how I need to move, and how I need to think. And guess what it says? He says, I will walk before Yahuwah in the land of the living. I believed even when I spoke, and I am greatly afflicted. Right? You look at everything that's happening in here. All the people cast out of Jerusalem. All of the tribes and all the peoples cast out of Jerusalem. What's happening? He said, you greatly afflicted. And your sins have reached all the way to Shamayim. The only way to cover it is with love. But this is the love of Yahuwah, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. And these are the very commandments that he gave when he came out of Mizraim in Exodus chapter 20. But it's grievous to both male and female, right? But it says right here, it says, I said in my alarm, what did he say? I said in my alarm, I said it because in the Hebrew it means I said in my haste. I said it really fast. All mankind or all Adam are liars, though every man be a liar. Even if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. All men, both male and female, all of you are kazab. If you don't believe that you got to speak the oracles of Elohim and walk in love to cover all your sins and walk in the love of Yahuwah and keep all his commandments. He said you are a liar, and the truth is not in you, which means you have no light. If you have no light, you can't see. He says all mankind are liars. And if anybody don't believe, what advantage have the Yahudi? If you don't believe it, you're a liar. Because all mankind are liars. And it says, what shall I render to Yahuwah before all his benefits to me? I will lift up the cup of salvation. What do you mean lift up the cup of salvation? When you do that? During Pesach. When you lift up the cup and gave it to his disciples at Pesach. He said, I'm going to lift up the cup of salvation. And he says, and call on the name of Yahuwah. And what are you going to do? And I will pay my vows to Yahuwah in the presence of all his people. He said, I'm going to pay it. How you going to pay it? He said, we're going to pay it ourselves. No, we're not going to pay it ourselves. Right, so this is the book of 2 Samuel or Yeshayahu chapter 8. I think it's Yeshayahu chapter 8. Yeshayahu chapter 8. Yeshayahu chapter 8. Yeshayahu chapter 8. Yeshayahu chapter 8, verse 12. Yeshayahu chapter 8, verse 12. Actually, verse 11. Verse 11. Yeshayahu chapter 8, verse 11. For Yahuwah spoke thus to me with his strong hand upon me. He said, with his strong hand upon me. People saying, why? What's his strong hand? What's a human being's strongest hand? Their right hand. It's strong too. Matter of fact, it got 7 stars he holding in his right hand. Matter of fact, it got 7 celestial circles too. And it smites a river into 7 streams. And it has 7 pillars in the city of refuge. Matter of fact, it has 7 women he holds by the hand too. And guess what happens? For Yahuwah spoke thus to me with his strong hand upon me and warned me not to walk in the way of this people. How he gonna warn you? He said, I warned you. He gonna warn you by his debar, his word. And he says, and get what he says, saying, do not call conspiracy all that this people calls conspiracy. You look at this world today, all these things that they do. And then granted, you look at all the things that you see conspiracy in here, right? That book, Yeshayahu chapter 8 and 12, that word for conspiracy, Yeshayahu 8 and 12, that word for conspiracy is, Yeshayahu 8 and 12, that word for confederacy is kasher. He says kasher. It means an unlawful alliance. Unlawful alliance. It also means confederacy. Kasher is kuf, shin, rosh. It's conspiracy, treason. He said, why would we say treason? He said, don't walk in the way of these people. Treason. Why would we say treason? He said, don't walk in the way of these people. Treason, right? going back, Yeshayahu 8 and 12. And it says, don't walk in the way of people saying conspiracy or treason or kasher. And do not fear what they fear, nor be in dread. All unlawful conspiracies and treason. He said, don't even fear what they dread. Why? Because they did something wrong. He said they made a confederacy with some people. They made a confederacy and they weren't supposed to do it. But Yahuwah of hosts says, but Yahuwah of hosts, him you shall honor as Kudash. Let him be your fear and let him be your dread. He said, why would you let him be your dread? Because he said all mankind are liars. So he's like, let him be your dread. And he will become a sanctuary and a stone of offense and a rock of stumbling to both the house of Yasharal and a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So he's saying, all you people who claim to be Yasharal and Yehuda, and those who claim to be the seed of Abraham and seeds of many as of one, you know how Galatia says? He said, you're going to be a rock of offense and a stone of stumbling to you. Because all Yasharal ain't Yasharal. Because all of them don't believe it. And it says right here, rock of stumbling to the house of Yahweh, a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and many shall stumble on it. He said, I'm going to put a stone on the ground and make you stumble. You make you fall and stumble. So if you're clumsy, you're going to fall on your face. He says, they shall fall and be broken. They shall be snared and taken. He said, why? Because they made an unlawful alliance. He said, treason. What did they make an unlawful alliance with? Let's see. Bind up the testimony, seal the teaching among my disciples. He said, my Talmud, my taught ones, these scholars. It says, and I will wait for Yahuwah who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob, and I will hope in him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahuwah has given me are what? Are signs and portents in Yasharal. I thought it was, he said, you're like a sign. Why would you be a sign in Yasharal? From Yahuwah of hosts, who dwells in Mount Sion. He dwells in Mount Sion. Where's Mount Sion? On top of the mountain. On the clefts of the rocks. That's where Sion is. That's why we talked about the 12, how you say, golden lampstands and the 12 lips. With the 2 branches on the left and the right. We know that there's the 3 gates, 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. Those 2 sticks becoming one. He said on the top, that was Mount Sion. And it says right here, and it says, and I will be the hope in him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahuwah has given me are for signs and portents in Yasharal, whom Yahuwah of hosts, who dwells on Mount Sion. And when they say, inquire, and say, when they say, because remember, people made unlawful alliances. Let's see what they did. Inquire, they say to you, inquire of mediums and necromancers, spirit channelers, and who chirp and whisper, mutter. Should not a people inquire of Elohim, all these wizards and sorcerers? Should you not inquire of Yahuwah? He's saying, how do you know what a wizard and a sorcerer is? He said, people should know what a wizard and sorcerer is. And it says right here, should they inquire of the dead? What did Yaakov say to his household? When he was going to the house of Beth Elohim, he told his household, he said, put away all your idols. And he buried them under a tree because it was dead. So are necromancers, spirit channelers, mutters, and wizards and warlocks dead in your mind? Or are they still alive? Because if they are, he said, you made an unlawful treason. You made an unlawful alliance that Yahuwah doesn't like. And it says, should they inquire of the dead on the behalf of the living? What you doing? And the people say, to the teaching and to the teaching and to the testimony, if they will not speak according to this word, oh, here we go. If any man and woman speaks, let them speak as the oracles of Yahuwah. If they don't speak according to this word, it is because they have no dawn in them. Till the day dawn and the day star arise in your heart. He said, you have no dawn in you. That word for dawn, Yeshayahu chapter 8, verse 20, That word for dawn in Yeshayahu chapter 8, verse 20, right? It says it have no light in them. It said that word for dawn is in the other translation, it says shakar. It's 878:37, shakar. It means they have no day. They have no light. They have no morning. They have no, he says, whence, rise. They have no morning. They have nothing. They have no dawn. He said the sun, just like the sun comes out of the portal. He said and comes out and shines on the earth. He said you have no light in you if you made alliance with these beings. He said you have no dawn. Because he made, what did we do? What did he do in Psalms 19? He said he prepared a tent for the sun. Which means if you ain't got the sun on the inside, he said you ain't got no dawn on the inside then. Because he prepared a tent for the sun. And your body's supposed to be the temple of Yahuwah. And you ain't supposed to have no other necrons and wizards and warlocks and necromancers and spirit channels inside your mind. And inquiring of them, or learning from them, or learning their teachings, and filling your mind with it, and believing it's true. But we just said, let every man be a liar. What advantage have the Yahudim? Much in every way. Because he committed unto them the oracles of Yahuwah. He says, they will pass through the land greatly distressed and hungry. Why? Because then we fasting. Yahuwah going to cause famine. He's going to cause pestilence. He's going to destroy. They're going to be doing all these things. He's going to tear you apart. And guess what? And when they are hungry, they will be enraged and will speak contemptuously against their king and their Elohim. It's like you're going to be raging against Yahuwah when Yahuwah start punishing people. When you start starving, when you ain't got no food, when he takes away the rain and the snow, literally on the earth, and spiritually. He said you're going to be raging against Yahuwah, just like the spirit of hatred. It's not Yahuwah's fault. This is the testament of God said. He said it ain't my fault. He said they the ones got the spirit of hatred and worked together with Satan and envy and jealousy and cast away the works of Yahuwah, and he said including malice and inquiring of other gods. They got the spirit of hatred. They have an alliance with Satan because their lamp has been put out because they have no dawn. And now they want to rage against Yahuwah because he's now coming. He says, Tukah. He says, Tukah, correct. Because Tukah is a way of life. For the commandment is a lamp, and the Torah is light, and correction and reproof is a way of life. Yahuwah reproves whom he loves. It says, enrage and speak conditionally against their king and their Elohim. Who's your king? We talked about he's going to raise a righteous branch of the Yeshai. He's going to have one shepherd and one king. It says David, but we know David's sepulchre is there. We know that king that they were talking about was Yahushua Mashiach in the book of Ezekiel 37. And it says, and turn their face upward. And you know what it says? Against their king and their Allah, and turn their face upward. They're going to start looking up. Like, what in the world are you doing to us? And it says, and they will look to the earth and behold distress and darkness. Because you ain't got no dawn on the inside of you. He said, what happened to your dawn? The gloom and anguish, because they're in darkness. And they will be thrust into thick darkness, because they have an unlawful alliance. He said unlawful, right? So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon. This is the Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 1. Or Book of Wisdom. And in the Apocrypha, he said Wisdom of Hukmah Shli Shalom, chapter 1. It says, verse 1 says, love righteousness, for this is our righteousness, if we keep all his commandments. That is the very first thing we read in Deuteronomy 6:25. Thy righteousness is everlasting righteousness, that Torah is the truth, in Psalms 119, 142. The commandments of lamp, laws of light, and correction and reproof is a way of life. Proverbs 6:23. It says, love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth. Know ye not that the Kadeshim going to judge the world? And if you can't judge these small matters, how are you going to judge Malachim? How are you going to judge super beings? How are you going to judge Shem, Jaza, Azazel, Asba, both male and female? How y'all going to do that? How are you going to judge between good and evil? He said, I can't even judge between myself. I can't even judge between Lysthirax or Asmodeus when he comes in the summertime. When he brings the house to fighting. I can't even discern between those two beings. How you going to be able to judge within yourself when you inquiring of necrons, wizards and warlocks and necromancers? He said people saying inquiring of necromancers, spirit channels, and witches and warlocks, and doing love potions on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. He says, ye that be judges of the earth, think of Yahuwah with a good heart. He said, a good heart, and in simplicity of heart, seek him. He said, don't seek after these other beings. You're going to make an unlawful alliance. And it says right here, for he will be found of them that tempt him not. Why do you think them people were raging against Yahuwah? They were tempting this man. Why do you think it did in the Yeshayahu? Why he said he going to do that? And it says, and showeth himself unto such as do not distrust him. It says, for thoughts separate from Yahuwah, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise. That's all he's doing. Because correction and reproof is a way of life. He was saying the unwise. For into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter. He said, they ain't gonna go in there. He said, man, it take 100 blows to go into the heart of a fool. He said, man, that's what the book of Psalms said, 100 blows. He's gonna take 100 on him. He said, 100 strikes from Yahuwah to get it to go into a fool. And it says, shall enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin. He said they can't stay there. That's when the word is sown, he said Satan immediately comes and takes it away. That's just like when Abraham in the book of Jubilees, when he sowed the seed, and he said Mastama, with all his ravens came and ate the seed before it was even time for it even go into the ground. He said, man, you made an alliance with Mastama then. Because you ain't even trying to drive them away. He said, you're not even trying to drive away the crows and the ravens from eating your seed. He said, you're not even trying. Abraham drove him away and made him run away. And he said right here, he said, you got to do that in your own self. He said, reprove the unwise. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body of subject unto sin. For the Kudash Ruach of discipline. He said, what is the Ruach? Have you received the Ruach since you believe? Will flee deceit. And remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in. It says, for wisdom is a loving spirit. And that's why he says what? Love covers a multitude of sins. He said, man, how many sins one committed from birth to present? A lot. Just like Yahuwah covers the whole earth with his love, because Yahuwah is love, because he sure can do whatever he wants to do right now, but he's not. He says, for wisdom is a loving spirit, and will not acquit a blasphemer of his words, though every man be a liar. Every man a liar. And get what it says. A blasphemous word, for Yahuwah is witness of his reigns, and a true beholder of his heart, and a hearer of his tongue. For the Ruach of Yahuwah filleth the world, and that which containeth all things have knowledge of his voice. He said, everything. That means from the whales to the sea creatures, from the insectoid to the animals, to the deer, to the ant, to the ant, to the hart, to the roe, to the lion, to the tiger, to the rhinoceros, even to the beaver. But for some reason, human beings, it's hard to penetrate. It's hard to penetrate, right? So this is the book of, going back to, so this is the book of 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras, chapter 10. 2nd Esdras, chapter 10. 2nd Esdras, chapter 10, verse 21. Actually, verse 19. 2nd Esdras, chapter 10, verse 19. It says, so I proceeded to speak further unto her, and said, do not so, be counseled by me. For how many are the adversaries of Saul? Be comforted in regard to the sorrow of Jerusalem. He said, be comforted. It says, for thou sayest that our sanctuary is laid waste, and our altars are broken down. Our temple is destroyed. Our psaltery is laid on the ground. Our songs is put into silence. Our rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out. He's like, what? Our candlestick put out. He said, you got no dawn on the inside of you. Oh, well, you ain't inquiring over wizards, warlocks, necromancers, spirit channel. You ain't even seeking out. You ain't even inquiring of Yahuwah no more. He's saying, oh, that's why. Your lamp been put out. You in utter darkness, as Yeshayahu 8 wrote. He said, it ain't utter darkness. He said, our candlestick been put out. The ark of the covenant is spoiled. The Kudash things are defiled. And the name that is called upon is almost profane. Our children are put to shame. Our priests are burnt. Our Levites are gone into captivity. Our virgins are defiled. Our wives ravished. He said, our wives are raped. They seduced. He said, man, they seducing. He said, man, they ravished. And guess what? Our wives are ravished, man. They get seduced. They seduce everywhere. He said, man, they seduce in the supermarket. They seduce on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. They seduce everywhere. He said, even the children are gone. The virgins are defiled. And he says, our righteous men carried away. Everybody carried away in their own doctrine. He said, carried away through diverse doctrines and strange teachings. And guess what? Our little ones destroyed. He said, they all destroyed. He said, my son, forget not the commandment of your mother and the teaching. Forget not the commandment of your father and teaching your mother. But you know your mother and your father doing, they conquiring over necromancers, spirit channels, and witches and warlocks and wizards. And of course your children are going to be destroyed for lack of knowledge. For lack. It says for lack of knowledge. Our young men are brought into bondage. They in prison. And our strong men are become weak. The wise man is strong. The man increases his knowledge and he enhances his koach, his strength, his human strength, his mental faculties, his knowledge of the Torah. He said they are all weak in mind. And guess what it says? And which is the greatest of all? The seal of Saum have now lost her honor, for she is delivered into the hands of them that hate us. He said, delivered in the hands that hate us, right? So this is the book of, moving on, this is the book of Yirmiyahu, chapter 4, verse 22, Yirmiyahu, chapter 4, verse 22, or Jeremiah, chapter 4, verse 20. Jeremiah, chapter 4, verse 20. Actually, Jeremiah, chapter 4, verse 19. Chapter 4, verse 19. Yirmiyahu, chapter 4, verse 19. It says, my anguish, I writhe in pain on the walls of my heart. He said, in pain, who he said that to? He said that to Adam and Kuhl. In pain, you shall bring forth children. In pain, and it's a bone, you're going to till the ground. And from the sweat of your brow, and from dust thou shalt return. And it says, my heart is beating wildly. I cannot keep silent. He said, man, it's all over. You ever been, he said, your heartbeat. I said, your heart rate, his heart rate was moving at a fast rate. For I hear the sound of the trumpet. He said, I hear it. He said, I hear the trumpet. He said, whom am I going to look to in Yeshayahu 16? The person who trembles at my word, at my debar. That's the person I'm going to look to. I ain't looking at nobody else. The those who tremble at my debar. And he says, for I hear the sound of the teruah and the alarm of war. I said in my alarm, all mankind are liars. Kazah. It says, guess what it says? Crash follow hard on crash. The whole land is laid waste. Look at that. He said a candlestick has been put out. And guess what it says? My curtains, he says, my curtains in a moment. He said, even my curtains in my tent. Because you know he made a tent for the sun, but he said, I'm gonna cast y'all, make y'all in utter darkness, which means he tore down their tents. Because you prepared a tent for the sun, but you're in darkness now. He said, I'm gonna tear down your tents. He said, I'm black like the tents of Kedar, not no more. You get what it says? How long must I see the standard and hear the sound of the Turah? He's like, man, the standard, he said the standard. I see the standard, and how long I gotta hear the sound of Turah? And get what it says? For my people are foolish, they stupid. They are foolish. They know me not. They are stupid children. This is the ESV. They are stupid children. They have no understanding. They are wise in doing evil. They are wise. He said, remember how we talked about Shalom and said, don't be overly wise. They wise and inquire of a necromancer, spirit channels, witches, and warlocks. They are wise to do evil. But to do good, they don't even know how to do it. They know not. I looked on the earth, and behold, it was without void, and the heavens, and it had no light. Because he said, you have no dawn on the inside. And I looked on the mountains, and behold, there were quaking, and all the hills moved to and fro. And I looked, and behold, there was no man, and all the birds of the air had fled. And I looked, and behold, the fruitful land was a desert, and all its cities were laid into ruins before Yahuwah, before his fierce anger. For thus says Yahuwah, the whole land shall be desolation, yet I will not be making full land. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna destroy everybody. For this the earth shall mourn, and the heavens above be dark. He said the whole earth gonna be dark. For I have spoken, and I have purposed, and I have not relented, nor will I turn back. Right? He said, I'm not even gonna turn back. All right, so this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 23. Yeshayahu chapter 23, or Ezekiel chapter 23. 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 It says, the word of Yahuwah came to me, son of Adam. There were two women, the daughters of one mother. They played the whore in Mizraim, and they played the whore in their youth. Their breasts were pressed, and their virgin bosoms handled. He said, all the virgins are defiled. We just read in Ezra. Every last one of them. And get what he says. It says, and Aholah was the name of the elder, and Aholibah was the name of the sister. They became mine, and they bore sons and daughters. And for their names, Aholah is Samaria, and Aholibah is Jerusalem. And Aholibah played the whore while she was mine, and she lusted after her lovers. He said, all her lovers. Who was her lovers? The Assyrians, warriors clothed in purple. But she lusted after them Assyrian warriors clothed in purple. And get what happened? Governors and commanders, all of them, desirable young men, horsemen riding on horses, man, she just lusting after them, looking at them. He said, man, why you lusting after these men, these Syrians on horseback in purple? And get what it says. She bestowed her whoring upon them and choicest men of Assyria, all of them. And she defiled herself with all the idols of every one after whom that she lusted. Man, all the things that she lusted after. Lusting after who they are. Look at Aholah, look at Jerusalem, look at Yasharal and Yehuda. Right? It says, she did not give her whoring that she has begun in Mizraim in her youth. Men had lain with her and handled her virgin bosom and poured out their whoring lust upon her. They did all types of wicked things. That's what you see today. That's the things you see today doing to women. And he said, and women accept it. He said, they do the same thing. Therefore, I deliver her into the hand of her lovers. He was like, I'm going to give you into your lovers. You can go. You know what he did? You know he said, I'm going to give you in the hand of your lovers since you want to keep doing that? He put her away. He gave her the bill of divorcement. Since you want to go be with your lovers, go be with your lovers. And he says, into the hands of the Assyrians, after whom she lusted. He said, go be with them. Go be with them people clothed in purple, riding on horses, and you worshiping them. And guess what? These uncover her nakedness. They seized her sons and her daughters. As for her, they killed her with the sword. He said, man, you have no value. They take your sons and your daughters, though. But the woman, you have no value. Just like the book of Songs of Elohim said. He said, man, they're going to treat the daughters of Eve with no value. He said, get out of here. He said, therefore, I got to take the mother priesthood from the earth. These men going to kill you. And guess what happened? And you know what the women keep doing? She keep going to look at him, listen to him. And guess what he said? They seized her sons and her daughters. As for her, they killed her with the sword. And they killed you with the sword. And it says, and guess what? And she became a byword among women. They start making all types of things about you. Women ain't this, women ain't that. You ain't nobody. They bring you down to the ground. And then guess what happens? You keep lusting at them. He said, oh, my lovers. He said, your lovers have forgotten you, right? And guess what it says? Byword among women. When judgment had been executed on her, he said, man, your lamp has been put out. He said, look at Jerusalem in 2nd Ezra. Look at Jerusalem. Look what happened to her. He said, your lamp has been put out. He said, them people in purple with them horses, they'll put your lamp out. He said, your lamp. Just like in Ezra, just we talk about Ezra, he said, I'm going to light a lamp of understanding by the Qahalath Ruach inside of you. Your lamp of understanding have been put out. They're going to take your understanding away. It says, and she became a byword woman. It says, verse 11 says, her sister Aholibah saw this, and she became more corrupt than her sister. Man, she saw it too. In her lust and in her whoring, which was worse than that of her sister. She lusted after the Assyrians, the governors, the commanders, warriors, clothed in full armor, horsemen riding on horses, all of them desirable young men. But they got a lot of men. She's like, man, that must be the truth. And get what it says. And I saw that she was defiled. They both took the same way. But she carried her whoring further. She saw men portrayed on the wall. The images of the Chaldeans portrayed in vermilion, wearing belts on their waist with flowing turbans on their head, all of them having the appearance of officers. Well, she loved that. He said, man, it's like officers. A likeness of Babylonians whose native land was Chaldea. When she saw them, she lusted after them and sent messengers to them in Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with their whoring lust. And after she was defiled by them, she turned from them in disgust. She laughed and loathed them. She realized, man, I'm just terrible. When she carried on her whoring, she so openly in front of her nakedness, I turned in disgust from her. Because he said, when you start getting all the spirits and demons on the inside of you, guess what happens? You start hating men. That's why she turned to them in disgust. She started hating men. Because you got a spirit of hatred. Because why? Because her candlestick don't went out. Because just like we read in 1 Peter, it said love covers a multitude of sin. But he said, man, your love is wax cold. He said, now you're in disgust. And guess what? Now I hate men. He says, I turned in disgust from her, and I had to turn in disgust from her sister. Man, Yahuwah said, I hate you. And get what he says. Yet she increased her whoring, remembering the days of her youth when she played the whore in the land of Mizraim and lusted after her lovers. He's saying that's the root of your whole situation. Mizraim. He said, you started there. And it increased. And now it done reached the Shamaim and to the point where Yahuwah like, I don't like you no more. He said, I don't even love you no more. I don't like you like that. And guess what happens? And lusted after her lovers there, whose members were like those of a donkey, right? They're elongated. They said the things she lusted after was the things that she wanted. With the between the legs, the other third legs. Right? She loved a third leg. When did she love Yahuwah? And guess what happened? Whose members were like donkeys, and whose issue was like that of horses. Man, and guess what? That's all they wanted. And guess what happened? Thus you longed for your lewdness in your youth, when the Egyptians handled your bosom and pressed your breast. He said that's where it started at. He said, I hate you. I turn your lamp out. Right. So this is the book of Yekaziel 16, Ezekiel 16, Ezekiel 16 and 1. Ezekiel 16 and 1. Ezekiel 16 and 1. He says, again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, son of Adam, make known to Jerusalem her abominations. He said, this same city, that city with the lampstand, candlestick put out. All these things that people have done. They say, I prepared a tent for the sun. He said, man, my tent is destroyed. But guess what happens? Make known Jerusalem and say, thus says Yahuwah Elohim for Jerusalem, your origin and your birth of your land is the Canaanites. He said, man, you're a Canaanite, and your father an Amorite. And your mother a Hittite. He said, don't talk about my mama. Yahusha just did. Don't talk about my father. Yahushua just did. And get what he said. And as for your birth, on the day you were born, your cord was not cut, nor were you washed with water to cleanse you, nor rubbed with salt. He said, we talked about salt. He said, that's how you have your pure offering. He said, make sure every sacrifice is seasoned with salt. Because it's for purification. It closes up all your wounds in your body. He said, you weren't even seasoned with salt. And guess what happened? Nor wrapped in swaddling clothes. Why do you think Yahushua was wrapped in swaddling clothes? Why do you think he was in a manger? He said, that's the day of his birth. No, I pitied you. Why would Yahushua say, I looked for pity and I found none? In the book of Psalm 69, he said, I looked for pity, I found none. They gave me poison for my food. They gave me hatred for my love. Amazing, they gave me hatred for my love, and then he said, Yahuwah loves when he rebukes. But then they gave him hatred, and they started reviling in Yeshayahu chapter 8 and coming after him. It says, nor were they washed with water to cleanse you, nor rubbed with salt and wrapped in salt. No, I pitied you to do any of these things to you out of compassion for you. Why do you think they beat Yahushua in the reed and smacked him in the head? Why do you think they didn't, he said, they didn't even season with salt, they didn't even purify him after they did that. Matter of fact, he said they did all these things to him and nobody cared. They didn't even have no compassion on him. A man acquainted with grief, a man of sorrows. Yeshayahu chapter 53, and we hid our faces from him. Nobody had no compassion on him, no pity. He said, why he did that? For the Jerusalem has been destroyed. Their candlestick has been put out. They in darkness. So guess what I got to do? I got to be Or. And guess what it says? But you were cast out in open field, for you were abhorred on the day that you were born. He said, man, they cast you out. You were cast in open field. Nobody even cared about your birth. Nobody even cared. It says, when I passed by you, I saw you wallowing in your blood. And I said to you, in your blood. He said, I saw you wallowing in your blood. Why do you think they beat Yahushua and all that blood was flowing down? They pierced him inside, came blood and water. It was blood everywhere. He said, man, I passed by you and I saw you wallowing in your blood. And guess what he said to Yahushua? And I said to you, in your blood on the third day, what did he tell Yahushua? He said, live. He said, I told him to live. I said to you, in your blood, live. Why do you think Yahushua cried out twice? He was saying that for you. I was saying, in your blood, live, O bloody city Jerusalem, who killed all the Naviim. I'm saying, in your blood. He said, live. I said, in your blood, live. Why? And you cried out the second time, he gave it the roar. And get what he said? And I made you flourish like a plant in the field, of the field. When you gonna plant? When your plant gonna flourish? When the sun comes? It's summertime. And get what he said? And you grew up and became tall and arrived at full adornment. When does a plant get a full adornment? After many years of growing and growing, and then when the summertime comes, they show off themselves. They show themselves off. Your breasts were formed and your hair had grown. Huh? Your breasts were formed and your hair had grown. What's your hair grow? We probably had locks. We just talked about last week, talking about having locks. He said, so why are you going to cut your glory off? He said, why would you cut your kabod? That's the glory of Sa'um. Or you want to be like Yeshayahu chapter 3. Though the daughters of Zion walked in hardiness and walked in stretched forward necks and wanting eyes, instead of well-set hair, baldness. You was like, man, look here, I made your hair grow back. I said when you was in your blood, live. 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 And it says, your breasts were formed and your hair had grown, yet you were naked and bare. And when I passed by you, again I saw you, and behold, you were the age of love. And I spread the corner of my garment over you, and covered your nakedness. I made my vow to you, and entered into a covenant with you, declares Yahuwah Elohim, and you became mine. How he did that? By his blood. By his suffering, by him crying out twice, by him saying, hey, you know what? Your lampstand been put out. So guess what happened? Live. Live. You ever struck a match? Sometimes you got to strike it twice in order to light it back again. said flint rock. Because you ever struck flint? And it says right here, and get what it says. Then I bathed you with water and washed off your blood from you and anointed you with oil. Olive oil. Oh, you mean, make sure they have pure beaten olive oil that the lamp may continually burn. And I anointed you with oil. I clothed you also in embroidered cloth and shod you with fine leather. Then all these things that Yahushua took away in Yeshayahu chapter 3. He took all these things away because they were, candlestick went out. But he said, now I'm lighting you back up. I'm making you lit again. I'm giving you back all the things you lost. I wrapped you in fine linen and covered you with silk. Man, I'm bringing you back. Before you lost everything. You lost all of the things you had because you were haughty. But now I'm giving it back to you. Jerusalem, the city whose candlestick been put out, the priests, the songs, the psaltery, the children, the virgins, everybody, I'm putting it back. It says, and I adorn you with the ornament and put bracelets on your wrist and chains on your neck. Isn't that what they had? I'm giving it back to you. Why do you think Yahushua died? People are like, why he did that? I died so you can get it, so I can light you back up. So your glory can now shine in the earth. So you're the light of the world. A city that cannot be hidden. No man lights a candle and put it under the table. You a candlestick lit. You are a candlestick lit. You put it on top of the table that everybody may see it. He said, what you hiding for? And get what he said. And I put a ring on your nose. Oh, you know what they had? And earrings in your ear. And beautiful crown on your head. Oh, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. She had 12 stars on her head. It was clothed with the sun. 12 rays of light. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. Oh man. I saw Jerusalem clothed. I saw Zion again. And she was pregnant too. Right, just like when Yusuf came into the house of Asenath, he said, man, 12 rays of light came from his crown and shone in the house. Because you prepared a tent for the sun, a tent for your mikdash, a tent for your mishkan, a tent for your body. And guess what it says? Thus you were adorned with gold and silver, and your clothing was fine linen, because you know you're supposed to go into the inner court with linen garments. He said, man, your locks done grow back. Your hair done grow back. And guess what he said? Because you ain't supposed to have a baldness on your head. And he said, thus you were adorned in gold and silver, and your clothing was fine linen and silk and embroidered cloth. You ate fine flour, honey, and oil. All these are all a part of him lighting your candlestick, man. You grew exceedingly beautiful and advanced in royalty, and your renown went forth among the nations. That's how you say you're going to go among the nations now. Today, after Yahushua died and cried out twice, he said, in your blood I said live, in your blood I said live. I made you alive again. So how are you going to shine before the nation? He just told you. You were not redeemed with corruptible things, silver and gold, with the precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach. He says, so I got to walk in love. He said, even as Mashiach, he said, walk in love. Love covers, Ahal covers a multitude of sin. Because before, when you were whoring, he said, man, you cast away every man. Because after you done did what you had to do, you just cast them away. You just come to the point where you just hate men because you did so many things you shouldn't do. And now he said, live and be the light of the world. And he says, and he went forth among the nations because of your beauty. And your renown went among the nations because of your beauty. Because you ugly. Because you ugly. He said, you ain't supposed to be walking around ugly. Because of your beauty. For it was perfect. Be therefore perfect, even as your Father in Shamayim is perfect. It was tamim. That word for perfect in Yeshayahu chapter 16, verse 14, Ezekiel chapter 16, the word for perfect in Ezekiel 16:14, the word for perfect in Ezekiel 16:14, and it says right here, it says, guess what? It says, and thy renown went forth among the heathen, right? among the heathen for thy beauty, your feed, right? And it says, for it was perfect. That word for perfect is H3632. That word for perfect is Kayil. He said, man, you Kayil, you perfect. He said, man, I was doing all that other stuff. He's like, man, yeah, I know. But I washed you and cleansed you off by the blood of Yahushua Mashiach. Matter of fact, I did that. And matter of fact, I said in your blood lives, and I decked you back up. You the light of the world, Kayil. He said, man, you're going to have to stop the sun, the moon, and the stars. You're going to have to measure out the earth in the deepest parts of the earth for me to cast Yahshua off from being a people. For you me to cast away my bride. Why do you think Yahushua died? You get what he said? It was Kayil, right? Complete. Sacrifice. Whole burnt offering, sacrifice. Whole, that's what it means. It says right here. It also means flame. Flame. Kali'il. Kali'il, I'm sorry. It means it's Kali'il. It's Kaf Lamed, Yad, and Lamed. Kali'il. Kali'il. And guess what it means? It means flame. Perfect. Why? Because you're the light of the world. Kali'il. Because you're supposed to be a lit candlestick. The light of understanding is now being lit in your thoughts. And get what it says. For it was perfect through the splendor that I have bestowed upon you. Who did it? Because when you do it, it ain't going to be beautiful. He said, I'm going to clothe myself. He said, I'm going to beautify the meek with salvation. Declares Yahuwah Elohim. Right? So this is the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 3. Yeshayahu chapter 3, verse 12. Yeshayahu chapter 3, verse 12. Yeshayahu chapter 3, verse 12. It says, Yeshayahu chapter 3, verse 12, it says, my people, infants are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, your guides mislead you, and have swallowed up the course of your paths. Yahuwah has taken place to contend. He stands to judge peoples. Yahuwah will enter into judgment with the elders and the princes of the people. It is you who have devoured the vineyard, the spoil of the poor in your houses. What do you mean by crushing my people? By grinding the face of the poor, declares Yahuwah of hosts. He said, what are you doing that for? Yahuwah, he said, get what he says. Because Yahuwah said, because the daughters of Saon are haughty and walk with outstretched necks and glancing and wanting with their eyes and mincing along as they go, tinkling with their feet. Therefore Yahuwah will strike the scab at the head of the daughters of Saon, and Yahuwah will lay bare their secret parts. This is the reason why. He said, that's the reason why. Because of the way you're treating people. Because the way you treat people is the same reason why you get rebellion. That's why you get rebellion. The same way you treat people is why you get rebellion. This is why Koph said, walk in love, because love covers a multitude of sins. Ahal. That's why people can't walk in love. Right? Because the spirit of hatred works together with Satan. Right? So this is the book of Yeshayahu, or 2 Samuel. This Shamuel, 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 22. 2 Samuel, or Shamuel, Bith Shamuel. 2 Samuel chapter 22. 2 Samuel, or Shamuel chapter 22, verse 8. 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 8. 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 8. It says, in verse 22, verse 7. It says, in my distress I called upon the name of Yahuwah. To my Elohim I called. From his temple he heard my voice. and my cry came to his ears, right? Just like when Yahushua cried out, I said in your blood live, I said in your blood live, and his cry went to Yahuwah's ears when he was on the cross. It says, then the earth reeled and rocked. That's why the whole earth shook. And the foundations of the Shamayim trembled and quaked because he was angry. Why? Because Yahuwah was angry at Jerusalem. That's why he split the temple in two, because Jerusalem was being cast away. And it says, smoke went up from his nostrils and devouring fire from his mouth. Why? Because Yahuwah's eyes are like flame of fire. Ayin ish lapid. His eyes like flame of fire, and it shines 7 times brighter than the moon. And get what it says. And it says, smoke went up from his nostrils and devouring fire from his mouth. Glowing coals flamed forth from his, it says, from him. He bowed the heavens and he came down, and thick darkness was under his feet. That's why he caused, why would he put Jerusalem in darkness and make the lamp go out? That's why he made the sun and the moon go dark while he was on the cross. He was signifying their lamp being put out. Because the Shemesh could be in the yard. So I, your mother, and your father bow down and worship you. I made you go darkness in order for you to worship me. Why do you think he made people lamp go out? He said, why my candlestick went out? Why am I lit? Why am I not the light of the world? Because Yahuwah making your lamp go out so you can believe on the Son of Yahuwah, who shined before the 4th day. Because the 4th day is a little haughty, a little arrogant. The people who like the way to the feast, a little haughty and arrogant people. He said, they haughty and arrogant. It said, smoke went up from his nostrils and devouring fire from his mouth. Glowing coals flamed forth from him. He bowed the heavens and came down. Thick darkness was under his feet. He rode upon the cherub and flew. He was seen on the wings of the wind. He was riding on the wings of the wind. Abraku kanaf. He was seen riding on the wings of the wind. Isn't that what you're supposed to do on Shabbat? He says, not speaking your own words, finding your own pleasure, and doing your own ways, that he may ride upon the high places, and he may feed you with your food. And get what he says. He bowed the heavens and came down, thick darkness under feet. He rode on the cherub and flew. He was seen on the wings of the wind. He said, how you gonna get your wings back? And get what he said. He made darkness around him in his canopy, thick clouds, a gathering of water. Out of the brightness before him, coals of fire flamed forth. He said, you gotta believe this. He said, why would he do that in the darkness? He said, why he made all the people lamp go out? Why do you think they were raging against Yahuwah? Yeshayahu chapter 8, when Yahushua was on the cross. Come down from the cross and we'll believe in you. Come down. He said, I can't come down. I'm riding on the wings of the wind for you. So you will understand what light is. Because darkness can't understand it. And get what he says. Out of brightness before him, coals flamed forth. Yahuwah thundered from Shamayim, and the Most High uttered his voice. And he sent out arrows and scattered them. Why do you think he destroyed Jerusalem? He scattered us. Because you don't believe. But the only reason he did it so he can wash you off and say, live, live. Now I want you to be the light of the world. And get what he says. He says, lightning routed them. He said, lightning. He said his word, just like Ezekiel 21:9. Katab, marut. A sword is sharpened for the slaughter. And get what he said. Then the channels of the sea were seen. The channels of the sea were seen. The foundation of the world laid bare. At the rebuke of Yahuwah and the blast of the breath of his mouth, breath of his nostrils. He sent forth from on high, and he took me and drew me out of the waters. And guess what he said? He rescued me from the strong enemy, from those who hated me. Because even Yahushua said, in the book of Yahushua, he said, they hated me without a cause. He said, it's written in your Torah, they hated me without a cause. What's your reason for hating me? Yahushua like, what you hating me for? You must be inquiring over witches, warlocks, necromancers, spirit channelers, and necrons. That's the only reason you would hate somebody like Yahushua. He sent from on high, and he took me and drew me out of the water, many waters, and rescued me from the strong enemy and those who hated me. And they were too mighty for me, and too many of them. They confronted me in the day of my calamity, but Yahuwah was my support. He brought me out of the broad place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. Yahuwah dealt with me according to my righteousness. That's why the wisdom of Solomon said, love righteousness. He said, why? Your righteousness. He said, he's going to deal with you according to what you do. That's why the cop said, walk in love, because love covers a multitude of sin. He said, if any man and woman speak, let them speak as the oracles of Yahuwah. Speak these words when you sit in the house, walk by the way, when you lie down, you rise up. If you don't speak them, then you're going to find yourself in darkness. And guess what it says? According to the cleanness of my hands, he rewarded me. Who shall dwell in my house? Get what it says? For I have kept the way of Yahuwah, and I have not wickedly departed from my Elohim. And what happens when you do that? He said, what happens when you do that? He said, what happens when you do that? Right? The same book, go to verse 28. Actually, verse 26. It says, with the merciful, 2 Samuel 22:26. With the merciful, you show yourself merciful. Now, you're going to deal with you according to your righteousness and the cleanness in your hands. And with the blameless, man, you show yourself blameless. If you don't depart from Yahushua Mashiach, this is what's going to happen. He said, what's going to happen when I do that? You're going to get your power back. You're going to get your divine nature back. You know how they say divine feminine, divine masculine? They say. You're going to get your divine nature back, your supernatural powers back. He said, I want my supernatural memory, cognition back. I want all my things back. He said, all you got to do is do what I say. And he says, with blameless, man, you show yourself blameless. And with the purified, you deal purely. And with the crooked, you make yourself seem torturous. He said, man, you real slow with the crooked people. Man, why you ain't helping us? Why we ain't get what we deserve? Why we ain't get to the point where we can get our land back? Why we ain't got no riches? Why we ain't decked out? Why we ain't got this? Why we ain't moving forward? He said, man, y'all stubborn. Y'all some stubborn. And get what he says. You save a humble people. That's why. He's going to beautify the humble with salvation. Why do you think Ezekiel, we talked about last week, beautifying the humble with salvation. That was the last thing we said. And he said, I'm going to beautify the humble with salvation. I'm going to clothe you just like, man, you were wallowing in your blood, and I cleaned you off. I'm going to beautify the humble with salvation. The meek people. But your eyes, what they said, but your eyes are not on the haughty to bring them, but your eyes are on the haughty to bring them down. Why do you think people get things taken away? He said, why even supposed that hair baldness? He said, your hair grew back. The glory of Saon came back. The kabod of Saon came back. The strength of young men came back. The wisdom of the old men came back. The hair of the women grew back. So why do you need the hair back? There's a reason why. They grew back. Get what it says. But your eyes are haughty to bring them down. For you are my lamp. You are my lamp. He said, man, you're like a lampstand in the house. He said, a woman in the order of her house is like a lampstand, a candlestick lit. He said, the commandment is a lamp, the Torah is a light, and correction and reproof is a way of life. He said, that's a lamp and a candlestick of understanding. And get what he says. He said, for you are my lamp. He said, Yahuwah, you are my light. But it says, O Yahuwah, my Elohim, lightens my darkness. He lightens my darkness. Because the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light. He said, you lighten my darkness. What does he lighten my darkness to do? What happens when your lamp? What happens when your lamp burning? And your light and your darkness within is you have no darkness within yourself. It says, verse 30 says, for by you, guess what? This is what you want to get back. You can get your power back. He says, for by you I can run against the truth. That's what you're going to. He said, man, my lamp burning. For by you I can run through a truth. By my Elohim I can leap over a wall. This Yahuwah Elohim, his way is perfect. Isn't that where he clothed the woman in Ezekiel? He clothed her and he said, man, you were perfect. You were Qahalath. He said, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. 12 tribes, with 12 lampstands, with 12 rivers, 12 lampstands. He said, man, wait, he has 7 lampstands, 7 lips, 2 branches, 12 gates, 7 cities of refuge. As a matter of fact, I gave you all your stuff back. and I decked you up, and I gave you back your strength, your hair, your garments, your bracelets. I gave you back all the gold and the silver, everything you had. And get what he says. For Yahuwah's way is perfect. The word of Yahuwah proves true. He is a shield for all those who take refuge in him. He said, man, it proves true. Right? So this is the book of Yashar. Book of Yashar. Book of Yashar. Book of Yashar, chapter 30. Book of Yashar. Book of Yashar. Book of Yashar, chapter 39, 25. It says, what is the matter with you in the battle that you cannot prevail? He said, what's the matter with you? He's like, what's going on with y'all? This book of Yashar, this is 39, 22, 39, 25. It says, what is the matter with you? And in the battle that you cannot prevail, can you then do unto the mighty, it says, can you then do unto the mighty city of Garash and the inhabitants as you did to the cities of the Amorites that were not so powerful? He said, man, you don't get your power back. He said, what happened? And it says, surely to those weak ones among you, weak ones amongst us, you did those things and slew them in the entrance of the city, for they had no strength. When they were terrified at the sound of your shouting. Why? Because what happened to us? That's what happened to us. We became weak and we got our behinds. And he said, everything, we got lost, everything we got destroyed and we got thrown out. We lost, our tents went to darkness. Who should say live? And walk in love. And guess what happens? And will now, it says, and will you now then be able to fight in this place? Surely here you will all die, and we will avenge the cause of those cities that you have laid waste. He's like, yeah, see, that's what we're going to do. Because that used to be us. That's us. They laid us waste. But guess what happened? And the inhabitants of God greatly reproached the sons of your code, because that's what happened to us. That's what they're doing today. He said, why are they doing that today? Because all Yasharal ain't Yasharal. That's what they're doing today, both male and female. They're doing that today. They mock you at the Olympics. They mocking you all over the world. And he says, our weapons of our warfare are not carnal. What do you mean? But mighty through Yahuwah, from the pulling down the strongholds, cast down imaginations, and every thought that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach. Why are you exalting yourself against Yahushua Mashiach? He said, why? And you lost your power. And get what it says. Surely here you shall all die, and we will avenge the cause of those cities that you have laid waste. And the inhabitants of God greatly reproached the sons of Jacob and reviled them with their gods. So that's what happened to Yahushua. Yahushua said, the reproach of those who reproach you, Yahuwah, it fell on me. It all fell on him. And that's what they did to him when he was on the cross. They reviled him by their God. Why did they revile in the same way? He said when Yahushua was reviled, he reviled not back. When he was persecuted, he threatened him not. But he committed himself to him that judges rightly. And it says, and continued to cast arrows and stones upon them from the wall. Why do you think they're doing that Yahushua on the cross? They still were talking. He healed others, he can't save himself. What happened to you? That's what happened when you mock. And when people start doing that in your life, he said, man, just understand. He said, another hand is on you. And he said, Yahuwah make you do it. He said, people have lost. People lose houses. People lose money. People lose families. People lose things. You start to mock. Guess what? You starting to walk like those people. You walk with the nations. You have the same spirit. And he says, their gods, they continue to throw arrows. He says, and Yehuda, verse 28, and his brothers heard the words of the inhabitants of Gaash, and the anger roused was greatly roused, right? Just like he said, who's going to rouse them up? Just like he talked about what advantage had the Yahudi? Much in every way. What advantage of circumcision? Chiefly because unto them were committed the oracles of Yahuwah. Most definitely. Let Yahuwah be true, every person a liar. He said, you're a liar. He said, and Yehuda was, and get what it said, greatly roused. And Yehuda was jealous for his Elohim in this matter. He's like, man, you ain't going to talk about my God like that. You're going to talk about my mama, my father, my mother and father. You're not going to talk about Jerusalem and my father Yahuwah in the highest Shamayim. You ain't going to do that. You know how people don't, he's like, well, you don't talk about my father like that. You don't talk about my mother like that. You ain't got no respect. You need to have some respect. So he was mad. He was upset. He said, what gets you upset? You ain't finna be mocking my Elohim in he said no Olympics. You ain't gonna be mocking Yahushua Mashiach. Not you, not. No, you not. And get what he says. And he says, and he was greatly angered and roused, and Yehuda was jealous for his Elohim in this matter. And he called out and said, O Yahuwah, send help to us and to our brothers. He like, what you say? He said, he got his power back. He said, my candlestick ain't lit. My candlestick ain't out. I ain't lost my darkness. I ain't in darkness. And get what he says. And he ran at a distance with all his might, with his drawn sword in his hand. Because, take you with you the sword of the Ruach. He said, the shield of faith, and most of all, the sword of the Ruach. He said, why you need the sword of the Ruach? Because you're going to need it. He said, you're not going to be doing this. And he said, and he sprang from the earth and put a dent of his strength. Because, the strong man, what happened to the strong man in Jerusalem? Man, they made weak. He said, man, he put his strength and mounted the wall with his sword. He said, with his sword. And his sword fell from his hand. Because you know why? Because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. He said, why the sword fell from his hand? Because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And what did he do after that? And Yehuda shouted, because you know why? Because the sword of the Ruach. Take with you the sword of the Ruach. He shouted. He spoke. He spoke. He spoke. He spoke. And what happened to those people after he spoke? And all the men that were upon the wall were terrified. You're not going to be mocking my Elohim. He said they were terrified. And what happened? And some of them fell from the wall into the city and died. He's like, you're not going to be mocking my Elohim. He ain't have no weapon in his hand. Oh, he ain't have no sword. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim Yahuwah. From the pulling down the strongholds, casting down every imagination and thought that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yahuwah. What do you think they were doing? You gonna start boasting about something? You're going to start boasting about Yahushua Mashiach? You're going to start mocking? You're finna start talking about Yahuwah and mocking Adam? You finna start mocking our fathers? You finna start mocking? He's saying, nah, you're not going to do that. And he spoke. And guess what? And they died. And those who were upon the wall, when they saw Yehuda, when they saw Yehuda's strength, why his strength come back? Because his light came back. His ore came back. His lamp now lit. And they saw his strength. They were greatly afraid, and they fled for their lives into the city for safety. He ain't had no weapon in his hand. Because his lamp came back. His light came back, right? This is the book of, this is the book of, this is the book of Judges, Shaphatim. Judges 16, Shaphatim 16:10. Judges chapter 16:10. Shaphatim chapter 16 verse 10. He said Judges chapter 16 verse 10. And there's a reason why Yehuda did that. Judges chapter 16 verse 10. Then Delilah, which means her name means the darkness, because that's what happens. Darkness. Your candlestick gonna go out. Said to Shamshun, behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you might be bound. He's like, show me where your strength at. Because Yehuda was like, you see what this person is? Yehuda, help me. Give me some strength. And get what he said. And he said to her, if they bind me with new ropes that have not been used, then I shall become weak and be like any other man. He said, what are you going to make your young man, everything become weak? He's like, you're going to make me weak like any other man. Because Yehuda wasn't like any other man. He had no sword in his hand. He said, you're going to make me weak like any other man. And said, so Delilah took new ropes and bound him with him and said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Shamshun. And the men lying in ambush were in an inner chamber, but he snapped the ropes off his arms with like a thread. He's like, man, I broke that stuff like I'm in a thread. Delilah says the darkness tried to put me out. He tried to put my lamp out. He said, he tried to put my 7 eyes out. Shabbat, he said, Ayin Ish Lapid, my 7 lampstands. And get what he said? Then Delilah said to Shamshun, until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me how you might be bound. And he said to her, if you weave the 7 locks on my head, he's talking about something. You know, if you have a Nazar vow, you're supposed to let your locks go, either male or female, let your locks grow long. Matter of fact, when you minister, you don't need to have no baldness on your head either. Matter of fact, you don't need to have your locks long when you start to minister. And guess what happens in Ezekiel 44? And if you weave these 7 locks on my head with the web and fasten it tight, like with the pin, then I shall become weak like any other man. You know how the World Wide Web? He said, I'm going to make you weak like any other man. The World Wide Web make you weak. And get what it says? Or man or woman, make you a weak woman. The World Wide Web. And get what it says? So while he slept, Delilah took the 7 locks of his head and wove it into the web. And she made them tight with a pin and said to him, the Philistines are upon you, man. Make your lamp, man. She almost got your lamp out. So take your lamp out. The Philistines be upon you. He said, call the cops. But then you see what happened to these weak women now. You call the police. He said, you better call on you. What did Yehuda do when the men were mocking? He called on the name of Yehuda. And he put his weapon down. And guess what happens now? You get shot in the head. And get what he said? He said, and the Philistines are upon you, Shamshun. But he awoke from his sleep and pulled away the pin, the loom, and the web. And she said to him, how can you say I love you when your heart is not with me? He said, man, you say you love me. Your heart ain't with me. And get what he said? You have mocked me these 3 times. He said, you mocked me these 3 times. What did Yehuda do? Because remember, they mocked Yehuda with their gods. And get what it says? And you have not told me where your great strength lies. What Yehuda's strength was. And get what it says? And when she pressed him hard with her words, day after day, and urged him, his soul was vexed to death. He's like, man, you killed the man with the words you spoke. That's why he told, 1 Peter said, any man or woman speak, both male and female, let them speak as the oracles of Elohim. Because if you don't, you're going to vex a person's soul, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to make them weak like any other man or woman. And get what it says? And he told her all his heart, and said to her, a razor has never come upon my head, for I have been a Nazar to Elohim from my mother's womb. And if my head is shaved, then because you ain't supposed to have your head shaven when you're supposed to go minister for the priest and a minister. And when you finish, you're supposed to close up, take the linen garments off and put them where they are when you go to the people. And get what he said? And in my head shaved, then my strength will leave me. That's what happened. That's why he told you not to shave your head when you minister. Why he told a woman not to cut her hair? In 1 Corinthians, they want to cut their head bald. They want to cause their glory. What you doing that for? What do you want to do that for? If my head is shaved, then all my strength will leave me, and I will become weak like any other man, like Adam. Be a weak. He said all the people been made weak. All the young men been made weak. All the women been made weak. And get what he said? And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called the lords, the master of the Philistines, saying, come again, for he has told me all his heart. Then the master of the Philistines came upon her and brought her the money in her hand. That's what they do today. They put your lamp out just to get money. They'll vex you with their words just to get money. They'll vex you with your words to get you, to take everything you got in a divorce. They'll vex you with your words to take everything you got, destroy you in the public. Your reputation. Make you vexed and make you afraid. Make you vexed. Make you afraid of the multitude in the city. And you know what happened? Why do you think Yehuda was standing on the wall? And he shouted, and all the men were afraid. And get what he said? Come up again, and he had told me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came upon her and brought her the money in her hands, and she made him sleep in her knees. And she called a man and had him shave off his 7 locks in his head. That's what they do to men today. And women. They have a woman stage, and they'll get you, lure you in, and they'll rob you. They'll rob you. They'll take everything you got. And it says, then she began to torment him, and his strength left him. He done lost all his strength. He done lost his strength. Now he just like Saul. And the young men have now gone weak. Now he lost it. And guess what happened? And she said, the Philistines are upon you, Shamshon. And he awoke from his sleep and said, what happened? And he awoke from his sleep and said, I will go as I other times and shake myself free. But he did not know that Yahuwah had left him. He like, man, that's what Yahuwah's strength was. He said, man, Yahuwah was with Yahuwah. Because when he cut his 7 locks out, they cut off his 7 eyes. They cut off his 7 eyes. You know those 7 pillars in the city of refuge? They cut off his 7 eyes. Ayin ish lapid, the flaming torches. And his lamp was put out. His lamp was put out. And Yahuwah left him, and he was in darkness, just like light leaves, or leaves in darkness. Just like Yahuwah's like, I left. Because the Ruach HaKodesh only dwells in righteousness. But Yahuwah only going to deal with you according to your hands and your righteousness. And he left. Just like the first Shalom said. Shalom chapter 1. And guess what happens? And guess what he says? But he did not know that Yahuwah had left him. And the Philistines seized him and gouged his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with the bronze shackles. Right? Because now he's blind. He can't see. His seven locks have been cut off. His hair has been cut off. Why you want to cut your hair bald for? And get what he said? And he growled at the mill in the prison. And people said, why do they want you to cut your hair off when you go? Why do they want you to? They make you cut your afro off. They make you cut your hair off when you go to work. He said, why? Because they don't want you to get your consciousness back. Because they know you're going to rise up and your consciousness and your thought process is higher than theirs. And you cut it off and they know you're going to be like any other person, just some other weak slave. Man, if you keep your hair on, man, that man or woman going to end up taking my position. Because they know if you keep that junk on, you're going to have your consciousness on another level. They know if you keep your thoughts in a certain state of mind, they know what's going to happen to you. It's the same way in this world. They want you to cut things off and throw things away and make it seem like it ain't nothing. Yeah, that ain't nothing. Don't worry about that. Yeah, exactly. And it says, but the hair of his head, guess what happened? They cast him into prison. It says, and he ground at the mill in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. He said, man, the hair done came back. Because he was shaving. But he said, now my hair done came back. Which means now his consciousness done came back. Now his reasoning came back. Now his mistake. Now he realized, I shouldn't have did that. Now, guess what it says? Now the Lord of the Philistines gathered to offer sacrifices of Dagon, their god. And then what they did to Yehuda, they cursed him by his gods, and to rejoice. And they said, oh God, our God has given Shamshun, our enemy, into our hands. And then what did Yehuda? Then they did the same thing. They don't gave his Elohim in their hands. Why do you think they celebrate? Why are they doing like skits and doing all these things today? Why do you think they mock him? Why do you think they doing it? Because they think that Yahuwah has given, they think their God, the God that they serve, has given Yasharal Yehuda, true Yasharal, into their hand. That's why you think they celebrate and doing all these skits and doing all these things. I'm talking about the Last Supper. No, they're doing it because they believe that their God has now been conquered. Our God, our Elohim, has been conquered. And get what he said. And when the people saw him, they praised their God. What do you think they're doing? What do you think men and women do when you forsake Yahuwah? They start rejoicing. Woo, yeah, I knew that John was the lie. I knew it was a fraud. Ha ha ha. They start mocking because they think that they won. They think that God won. They think that Elohim won. And guess what happened? It says, they said, our God, Elohim, has given our enemy into our hand and the ravagers of our country, who has killed many of us. And when their hearts were merry, they said, call Shamshun that he may entertain us. And then what y'all do? He said, what you entertain us? Call him over here, because they believe that they conquered you. So they called Shamshun out of the prison, and he entertained them. He didn't do it willingly. And guess what happened? And they made him stand between 2 pillars. They did what? Why do you think Yahushua was between 2 thieves? He said, why he got to be between 2 thieves? Why they mocked him? And Shamshun said to the young man who held him by the hand, let me feel the pillars of which the house rests, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women. He's like, man, look at here. Because you know men and women will do this. You get what it says? All the lords of the Philistines were there. And on the roof, there were about 3,000 men and women. And looked on while Shamshun entertained. And get what happened? What were they doing? And Shamshun called to Yahuwah and said, "Oh Yahuwah, please remember me. Please strengthen me only this once." Why do you think Yahuwah put a dent in the ground with his strength and leaped over a wall? Because he got his power back. He said, my head, my reasoning then came back. And I remember my Allah. He said, do you remember yet? Do you remember who he is? Do you remember Zakar? And he says, please strengthen me only this once, O Elohim, that I may avenge on the Philistine for my 2 eyes. Why do you think he says 2 eyes? He's like, man, you done made me go blind. Why do you think they blindfolded Yahusha? He said, you made me go blind. Why do you think they entertained him? Why do you make sport of him? They beat him and mocked him and hit him on the head with a reed. Because they were serving their gods. They believed that their gods brought victory over Yahushua Mashiach. They believed that. The men and women, especially, he said, man, Yahushua ain't the head of a man no more. Yahushua ain't the head of a man anymore. Because you know what happened when Yahushua ain't the head of a man anymore? Yahushua ain't the head no more. I can go straight to Yahuwah without going through the order that Yahuwah said. Why? Because now, then he said what? He started mocking. And get what he said. Please remember me and strengthen me only this once, O Elohim, that I may avenge on the Philistine for my 2 eyes. You made me go blind. And Shamshun grasped the 2 middle pillars on which the house rested, and he leaned his weight against it on his right hand and one against his left on the other. Remember me in paradise, Yahushua. Hey, what you up here with us? You under the same condemnation as us. Don't you fear Elohim? He leaned to the left and the right. And get what he said. And the Shamshun said, let me die with the Philistines. Then he bowed his head with all his strength, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were in it. He said he killed them all. He said, what happened with Yehuda hit on the wall? He gave a loud shout. When the temple rent too, when Yahushua cried out, and everybody was afraid. Even the centurion. Surely this was the son of Yahuda. Man, this was the son of Elohim. Let me leave these people alone. Let me leave Yehuda alone. Let me leave Yehuda alone. And get what he said. So the dead whom he killed at his death were more than those whom he had killed during his life. He said, I killed more people with my death than I was alive. Yahushua killed all of us. They say all that immersion in Yahushua was the immersion to his death. He killed everybody. If one believes it. Or you still alive. Your old life still alive. Your old mindset still alive. Your old ways, your old thoughts, your old habits. He said, are they still alive? And then he said, guess what? I ain't killed you yet. And get what he said? Then his brothers and all his family came down and took him and brought him under and buried him between Zorah and Ahal in a tomb of Manoah, his father. Why didn't they put Yahushua in the tomb? He has judged Yasharal for 20 years. He said, what is Yahushua doing? The judgment seat's been set. He said, I set him all Yasharal's lives. Right, so this is the book of This is the book of this book of 2 Kings 11 and 1. 2 Kings 11 and 1. 2 Kings 11 and 1. Now when 2 Kings 11 and 1. Now when Athaliah, the mother of Azariah, saw that her son was dead, she went to go bury him in the tomb. No. She arose and destroyed all the royal family. She saw Yahushua was dead, and guess what she went to go do? She went to go try to kill every single other person in the royal family. She tried to kill all the men. After Yahushua, Yahushua done died for her sins, and now she's going to try to kill all the royal men. And guess what happened? It says, but Yahushua, the daughter of the king, Yoram, sister of Hazael, took Joash, the son of Uzziah, and stole him away from among the king's sons who were being put to death. You're like, man, she's trying to kill everybody. And get what happened? And she put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Thus they hid him from Athaliah, so that he was not put to death. Why? He said, why would Athaliah do that? And he remained in there 6 years, hidden from the house of Yahuwah, while Athaliah reigned over the land. That's the only reason she did it, so she can rule. He said, why would Athaliah rule and try to destroy the male authority that was over the land, over Yehuda? Because you saw what Yehuda did, leaped on the wall. Why would she do that? She had to put the candlestick out. She knew she had to kill all the males. She said, I gotta put the lampstands out. I gotta put the 7 locks out. I gotta put the lamp out in order for me to rule. That's the only reason Delilah had power over Shamshun, because she had to put the lamp out in order for her to rule over him and put him to death. Right? So this is the book of, right? So this is a dictionary. This is the dictionary of demons. Right, so this is the Dictionary of Demons by M. Bellinger. Right, so this is the Dictionary of Demons. Right, so this is the book. This is, what's that? This page 33. Actually, page 35. This is page. If I can find it, this is. So this is where we at? This is, let's see. Yeah, so this is Akoros. Right, Akoros. So this is, let's see. Yeah, Akoros. So Akoros is a demon said to serve the infernal king of Amenion, of sacred magic of Abramin. It says the mage. According to this translation of this work, Okoros came from a Greek root meaning overthrowers of authority. In the Peter Hammer's edition, it says the name of his demon is given as Abirok of Ammonon Mathers. Right, so they call this spirit Okoros, and it says overthrowers of authority. Right, so look at these spirits, and you say what type of spirit was the overthrower of the authorities? Why would they want to overthrow the authorities? Right, overthrow the authorities. Right, so you look at Athaliah. Look at Athaliah, and you look at her being possessed by Okoros. Right, Akoros, right? So this is the book of, we almost finished. This is the book of, so this is the book of, this is the book of, so this is the book of, this is First Chronicles. This is First Chronicles. Yeah, this is First Chronicles. This is First Kings, chapter 9, verse 1. 1 Kings, chapter 9, verse 1. As soon as Shalom had, 1 Kings, chapter 9, verse 1. As soon as Shalom had finished building the house of Yahuwah and the king's house, and all that Shalom desired to build, Yahuwah appeared to Shalom a second time. And he appeared to him at Gibeon. And Yahuwah said to him, I have heard your prayer and your plea, which you have made before me. and I have consecrated this house that you have built. Then he said, Shaman is my throne, the earth is my footstool. What house will you build for me? By putting my name there forever. He said, what are you going to put? He said, know you not that your body is the temple of Yahuwah? He said, man, I'm going to put a woman on the throne. Huh? In your house. And get what it says. My eyes and my heart will be there for all time. Why would his eyes be on this house for all time? Why would Yahuwah's eyes be on you for the rest of your life? And get what it says. As for you, if you will walk before me, as David my father has walked, in integrity of heart, in uprightness, according to all that I have commanded you, in keeping my statutes and my rules, because rules are a ruler, then I will establish my royal throne over Yasharal forever. He said, man, I'm going to establish my royal throne over Yasharal, not you going to be over me. He said, no, I'm going to establish my royal throne over Yasharal. And get what he says, forever, as I promised Daud, your father, saying, ye shall not lack a man on the throne of Yasharal. He said, like a man? Yeah, like a man on the throne of Yasharal. He said, so who on the throne of your mind? A woman? He said, nah, if you do that, then you have a demon. Because guess why? Because he said, it's exalting itself against the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach, because Yahushua Mashiach sits on the throne. He said, you got a demon on your throne. If you believe that a woman rules on the throne of David. Says, but if you turn aside from following me, why you think Athaliah went to kill all the men? Why you think Shamshun went dark? You know, he said, man, we went dark. And amazingly how it says, Satan come like a thief in the night. Shamshun went dark. What happens when you go dark? Your lampstand go out. You go darkness. Here comes Satan. Mr. Satan, right, they say, he's coming for you. Because you ain't got no light. Says, but if you turn aside from following me, you or your children, he don't care. And do not keep my commandments and my statutes that I have set before you, but go serve other gods and worship them. He said, you inquire other gods. You inquire wizards, warlocks, necromancers, and spiritualists. Then I will cut off Yasharal from the land that I have given them and the house that I have consecrated for my name, and I will cast you out of my sight. And that's what happened to us. And that's what's going to happen to you if you want to be in Yahushua's kingdom and he not on the throne in your mind. Get what's going to happen? You're going to be cast out. It's like he said, you're going to find yourself in the kingdom of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you yourselves cast out. He said, you're going to be weeping and gnashing your teeth. And guess what he says? In the house that I have consecrated for my name, I will cast you out of my sight. And Yasharal will become a proverb and a byword among all people. You know what he said, so you gonna let them continue to do this? You see what Yehuda did? He's like, you see what, hold up. You're not gonna, I'm jealous of my Allahim Yehuda. He said, you're not gonna be doing that. He said, you're a proverb and a byword people. And this house will be a heap of ruins. That's what's gonna happen to you. You're gonna be the abomination that maketh desolation. He said, who the abomination that maketh desolation? You. Says everyone passing by it will be astonished and will hiss. They will hiss and what they will say. And then what the necromancers, spiritualists, and witches and warlocks did to Yasharal when they inquired of him, whisperers. Man, you inquired, isn't that Elohim and Yasharal? They will say, because what? They abandoned Yahuwah, their Elohim, who brought their fathers out of the land of Mizraim and laid hold on other gods and worshiped them and served them. That's the only reason. He's like, you served them, didn't you? People say, why Yahushua said, cast not your pearls before swine? He said, they'll trample them on the foot and attack you. What happened to Shamshun? He told her all his heart. And they attacked him and they killed him. Therefore, Yahuwah has brought all this disaster on them. This is the only reason. People saying, so what's the reason why? He said, the only reason I put all this disaster on them is because of what they do. I'm rewarding them according to the righteousness and the cleanness of their hands. Has nothing to do with anything else. Has nothing to do with anything else. So that's what the thing. This is second Baruch out of the Pseudepigrapha. Second Baruch out of the Pseudepigrapha. Second Baruch. I think this is it. Second Baruch, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Chapter 21. Chapter 21, verse 4. 21 and 4, second Baruch. And it says, "Oh, hear me, you who created the earth, the one who fixed the firmament by the word, and fastened the heights of the Shamaim by the Ruach." Right? So he did all this stuff by the Ruach HaKodesh. The one who in the beginning of the world called that which do not yet exist, and yet obeyed you. Everything obeyed you. He said, you didn't even exist. He said, I obey. He said, the only way you exist is by obedience to Yahuwah. He said, it didn't even exist yet. He said, I want to exist in the world. I want to exist as a person. He said, the only way you're going to exist is by obeying Yahuwah. His word. It says, you who gave commandments to the air, and with your signs have seen the things which are to come, as well as those which have passed. You who reign with great thoughts over the powers which stand before you, and who rules with indignation the countless Kudash beings, who are flame and fire. He said they flames and fire. He said, man, they just like flames of fire. Like Ayin Ish Lapid. They like flaming torches. And get what happens? Whom you created from the beginning, those who stand around your throne, they stand around your throne. So if you stand around Yahushua's throne, Yahuwah said he calls to dwell in the Shamaim places. He said Yahuwah judges in the midst of the gods. Yahushua said, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. He said he judged in the midst of the gods, the Elohim. And get what happened? And get what he said? He says, around the throne, for you alone all this exists, so that you may create at once all that you want. You are the one who causes the rain to fall on the earth with a specific number of drops, raindrops. It's a specific number. And guess what it says? You alone know the end of times before they arrive. It has arrived. Hear my prayer, for only you can sustain those who exist, who have gone and those who have come, those who sin and those incurable ones. Actually, those who sin and those who prove themselves to be righteous. He said, he had proved, since you are the living one, the incurable, the inscrutable one, for you are the only living one, the immortal one, the incurable one, the inscrutable one, and you know the number of men. And while many have sinned once, many others have proved themselves to be righteous. He said, even though some have sinned once, he said, many others have proved themselves to be righteous. He said, how many times you sinned in your life? He said, it's about high time you wake out of sleep. For your salvation is nearer than when you first believed. It's about high time. And knowing the time, it's high time to wake out of sleep and prove yourself that you're righteous. You know where you have preserved the end of those who have sinned, or the fulfillment of those who have proved themselves to be righteous. For if only this life exists, which everyone possesses here, nothing could be more bitter than this. He said, that's it. He said, nothing be more bitter than this. Why do you think they gave Yahushua sour wine? He said, I looked for pity and I found none. They gave me poison for my food. And for my drink, they gave me sour wine. He like, man, nothing could be more bitter than this. He's like, nothing can be more bitter than this. This last verse of this, it says, for what help is strength which changes into weakness? For what help is strength which changes into weakness? What happened to Shamshon? He said, ain't no help in that. If it changes weakness, what happened to Yehuda? He said, my strength. What happened to me? He said, Yehuda was strong. He said, he saw how strong he was, but he told Shaul, he said, your strength is made perfect in weakness. He said, what good is strength if it's turned to weakness? And get what it says. Or food in abundance which changes into famine, or beauty that changes into ugliness. Because he said, I made you beautiful. I decked you out. He said, but then you turned ugly. He said, you went from beauty to ugly. He said, why would you do that? And he says, for the nature of men is always changeable. For as we were once, we are no longer. And as we are now, we shall not remain in the future. For in an end, all things had not been prepared. Their beginning would have been senseless. But let me know all that which comes from you, and regarding that which I ask, enlighten me. He said, man, regarding all that which I last, enlighten me. This is Psalms 19:1. Psalms 19:1. Psalms 19:1. Psalms 19:1. It says, the heavens declare the kabod of Yahuwah, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day he pours out his speech, and night to night he reveals his knowledge. Right? And he said, why do you think when Shamshon went dark, he said, man, Yahuwah, he called upon Yahuwah. He entreated him. He said, give me some strength just this one time, that I may avenge, please. And he says, reveals knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words where voice is not heard. He said, man, I hear your words in your murmuring. He said, I hear them. He says, their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a tent, Ahal for the sun. He said a tent for the sun. He said, they don't speak according to this Torah oracles. He said, they have no light, no dawn, which comes out like a bridegroom leaving his chamber, and like a strong man runs his course with joy. Its rising is from the ends of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them, and there is nothing hidden from its heat. He said, ain't nothing hidden from the heat. He said, ain't nothing hidden from the heat. He said, the Torah of Yahuwah is perfect, reviving the soul. He said, it gives strength to the soul. Why do you think Shamshon, when he was crying out, he asked Yahuwah for strength? He revived him. He said, man, he gave me my strength back. He said, revives the soul. Why he said, man, when you was in your blood, he said, I said, live. I said, live. And he decked you out in beauty. He said, man, you were perfect. So he revived the soul. He said, when they cast you away, nobody cared about your birth. Because they did. If your mother and father cared about your birth, they'd have taught you the Torah and not allow you to go through life without lack of knowledge. And they wouldn't allow you to die. They wouldn't cast you away. He's saying, what? Your family, your mother and father didn't teach you the Torah. He's like, yeah, they just killed you. Because they destroyed you. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And it says, the testimony of Yahuwah is sure and wise, making wise the simple-minded. He said, the simple-minded. He said, you simple-minded. The precept of Yahuwah is right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahuwah is truer, pure, enlightening the eyes. Man, they'll give your sight back. Your 7 eyes back. He said, man, make your lampstands come back. Make your torches come back on. Because the commandment is a lamp, the Torah is a light. They make your lampstands come back. Because it's word like fire. You're going to light a match. You're going to light you back up. It says, enlighten the eyes. The fear of Yahuwah is clean, enduring forever. The rules of Yahuwah are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired than gold, and much fine gold, sweeter also than the honey dripping from the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. Today is a day of warning. In keeping them is a great reward. He said, behold, my reward is with me. He said, my reward is with me. He's Barak there, keep the same to this book. But he said right here, who can discern his errors? Verse 12 says, who can discern his errors? He said, discern. Whose are these? That's what Yehuda did with Tamar. Discern. Whose are these? He said, man, you're more righteous than me. Well, she proved herself to be righteous. Declare me innocent from hidden faults. So who are able to see his errors and declare me innocent from hidden faults? Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins, and let them not have dominion over me. Why do you think Yehuda was like, man, no, y'all not gonna do this. Not today. Then shall I be blameless. I shall be perfect. And it says, and innocent from great transgression. Let the words of my mouth, if any man speak, let him speak, or woman, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. Let the words of my mouth, speak these words when you sit in the house, walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. And the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. O Yahuwah, my rock and my redeemer. And people saying, why would you do that? Because the wise man built his house on a rock, O woman. Because Yahushua's on the throne, not a thousand. All right, so this is Ode Shaloma. This is the Ode Shaloma. Odes of Solomon. Actually, yeah, this is Ode Shaloma, chapter Ode Shaloma. Ode Shaloma, chapter 11. It says, my heart was pruned and the flower appeared. Then Khan sprang up in me and produced fruits to Yahuwah. For the Most High circumcised me by his Hudash Ruach. What advantage has circumcision? And what profit? What advantage have the Yahudi? Much in every way. Because he gave the oracles unto the you. And he said, what profit is that? Then he uncovered my inward being. I delight to the law through the inward man. Toward him and filled me with his love. Walk in love, and love covers a multitude of sins. It covers a multitude of sins. And his circumcision became my salvation. And I ran in the way of his peace, in the way of truth. Thy righteousness is everlasting righteousness, and our Torah is the truth. For from the beginning unto the end I received his knowledge, and I was established upon the rock. Who can discern his errors? He said, I was established upon a rock of truth where he has set me. He said, where he put you at? He said, in the last days, the mountain of Yahuwah shall be established on the top of the mountains and exalted above the hills, and all people, all nations shall flow to it. How are you going to do that? You got to be a light of the world. You got to be an oar to the world. That's the only way they're going to see it. He said, I put you out. You like a candlestick lit. I ain't put you under no table. He said, shine the light, shine the oil. He meant shine the Torah. And get what he says. I received it out. And I was established on the rock of truth where he had set me. And speaking waters touched my lips from the springs of Yahuwah generously. And I drank and became intoxicated from the living water that does not die. He that believeth on me, as the scripture said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. His inward man. You know what's going to happen when you flow out rivers of living water? You're going to be speaking the oracles of Yahuwah. And my intoxication was not with ignorance. He said, I wasn't ignorant when I took it in. For I abandoned vanity. And I turned toward the Most High, my Elohim, and he enriched me with favor. And I abandoned folly. Who can discern his errors? He says, bearing folly is cast upon the earth and stripped it off and cast it from me. Why do you think when Yahushua came out of the tomb, he took his linen garments and he put it and left it in the tomb? It says, and Yahuwah renewed me with his garment. Why he had to take his old garment off and put a new one on? Why do you think he told a woman when she came to touch me, he said, touch me not? He said, why he said, touch me not? Lest Kudash come from the garment to you. He said, don't touch me. And possess me by his light. And guess what it said? And from above he gave me immortal rest, and I became like the land which blossoms and rejoices in fruits. And Yahuwah, guess what it said, verse 13 says, and Yahuwah is like the sun. Because he prepared a tent for the sun. He prepared a tent, Ahal, for the sun to come in. He said, Yahuwah is like the sun upon the face of the land. He just like the sun on the face of the land. My eyes were enlightened. How you say? 7 eyes were enlightened. My 7 lampstands. He said, my eyes were enlightened, and my face received the dew, and my breath was refreshed by the pleasant fragrance of Yahuwah. And he took me to his paradise, where in the wealth of Yahuwah, where is the wealth of Yahuwah's pleasure. He said, he took me into paradise. Right, going over to verse 12, or ODE 12. ODE 12. ODE 12 in verse 1. It says, he has filled me with words of truth, that I may proclaim him. And like flowing waters, truth flows from my mouth, and my lips declare his fruits. And he has caused his knowledge to abound in me, because the mouth of Yahuwah is the true word and the door of his life. It says, and the Most High, like I said, Yahushua said, I am the door, I am the door. No man can come to the Father except by me. If any man come up any other way, he's a thief and a robber. Why do you think Athaliah was trying to get on the throne? She was trying to go some other way to take the rule. He said, you gotta come in. He said, I am the door. He said, I am the front door, not the back door. He said, you trying to come up some other way. He said, I'm the front door, not the back door. And get what he said, because Yahuwah is my rear guard. As Yeshayahu wrote. He said, Yahuwah will be your rear guard. And he says, and he caused his knowledge to abound in me, because the mouth of Yahuwah is his true word, and the door of his light. And the Most High has given him to his generations. What generation we living in? They say this is the last generation. He said, we living in that generation. It says, the interpreters of his beauty, and the narrators of his kabod, and the confessors of his thoughts, the preachers of his mind, the teachers of his works. For the subtlety of the word is inexpressible, and is like the expression, so also is the swiftness of his acuteness. For limitless is his path. Great are the works of Yahuwah. His understanding is infinite, as Yeshayahu said. You get what it says? He never falls, but remains standing. He said, man, I ain't never fall. Yahushua's like, I ain't never fall. He said, a righteous man falls 7 times. Man, he said, you get back up. But Kaf said, if these things abound in you, or in you and abound, you shall never fall, neither be unfruitful in the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach. He said, he remains standing, and one cannot know his descent of his way. For as his work is, so is his expression. So is his expectation. He said, man, I'm expecting something. What he expecting? For he is the light and the dawning of thought. He said, if anyone don't speak these words, it is because they ain't got no dawn in them. No light in them, no shakar in them. He said, it's the dawning of your thoughts. He said, the dawning of thoughts. What do you think the day dawned? He said, my hair's starting to grow back. He said, the dawning. He said, that's the dawning of thought. Yahuwah, give me strength this one time. He said, that's the dawning of thought. So this is the apocalypse of Adam. Last 2 things. This is the apocalypse of Adam. Apocalypse of Adam. Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1. Apocalypse of Adam, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1. It says the voice. And it says, verse 12 says, and your thought does not resemble, it says verse, going up to verse 9. It says, then a voice came to them saying, Makiu, Mikar, and Manios, who are over the Kudash immersion in living water, why were you crying out against the living Elohim with impious voices and tongues without law over them and the souls full of blood and abominable deeds? He's like, these people evil. And get what he said. You are full of works that are not of the truth, but your ways are full of gladness and joy. He's like, how you gladness and joy? Because you know what love does. He said, love rejoices not in wrongdoing. He said in the book of Colossians. He said, what you rejoicing for? Having defiled the water of life, he said, out of the belly for living and living water. He says, you have drawn it within the will of the powers to whom you have given to serve them. You serve other gods. Why do you think he said, yes, y'all like, well, y'all, it's not who Elohim, y'all inquiring of them? Shamshun was like, I ain't inquiring of these gods. Why would I call on the Dagon? He like, I'm amongst the Dagon, but I'm not calling on Dagon. Even though my works were evil, as his was, he said, I'm not calling on Dagon when I'm in trouble though. Why would I do that? Why would I inquire of him? He said, I'm gonna call on Yahuwah. He said, what y'all doing? You serving them. And your thought does not resemble, get what it says, and your thought does not resemble those men whom you persecute. He said, what you persecuting me for? You people doing that evil, and he said, you persecuting me. He said, is it not written in your Torah said you were gods, you Elohim, but you persecuting me. I'm telling you who you are. He's like, why are you persecuting me? And get what he said, your thoughts ain't like mine. He said, well, you should say what? Yahuwah's like, my thoughts ain't your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. Even as the highest Shamayim is to the earth, so are my ways from your ways. And my thoughts from your thoughts. It says, they have not obeyed your desires, and their fruit does not wither. Let us offer up the sacrifice of praise with the fruit of our lips. He said, man, he said, their fruit ain't withering. He said, even though they're doing it, he said, the fruit ain't going nowhere. And get what he said. But they will be known to the great aeons because the word they have kept of the Elohim of the aeons were not set down, yes, it says, of the Elohim of the aeons were not set down in the book, nor were they written. He said these words ain't written in these books. He said, what book you got that from? Where you get this stuff from? Man, you just made that up out of nowhere. Because you know it say all these things that Yahushua did, they were written in the books. The world wouldn't be able to contain it. But it said right here, but angelic beings will bring them words which all the generations of men will not know. For they will be on a high mountain, upon a rock of truth. For this reason, they will be called the words of imperishability, and truth to those who know the eternal Elohim in wisdom of knowledge, and teaching of eternal Malachim, for he knows all things. Right, so this is the essence of peace. This is the last thing. This tent for the sun, but it said right here, this is the essence of peace. The essence of peace. The essence of peace. Essence of peace. The seven folds of peace. Page 281. Starting at the last paragraph. It says, then shall the Son of Man seek peace with his own thoughts, that the angel of Malachim of wisdom may guide him. For I tell you truly, there is a greater power in Shamayim and earth. There is no greater power in Shamayim and earth than thoughts of the Son of Man. It says, though unseen by the eyes of the body, yet each thought has mighty strength. Why do you think Yehuda had all that strength? Because his thoughts. He's like, you're not finna mock my Elohim. He said, what kind of thoughts y'all have? He said, you're not offended, are you? He said, I'm not offended by what they do. I'm not offended by that. I don't care. He said, they have mighty strength, even such strength that can shake the heavens. Why do you think he shook the earth? Why do you think Yahusha had shook the whole temple and it rent in two? His thoughts are different. His thoughts are not your thoughts. And his ways are not your way. Why do you think Yahudah leaped over a wall and had Schwartz swung out of his hand and he shrieked and everybody ran away? Because his thoughts are not your thoughts. His ways are not your ways. Why do you think Deborah rose a mother in Yasharal when they had new gods that newly rose up? Because her thoughts ain't your thoughts. Her ways ain't your ways. He said, why? Because they got strength in their thoughts. He said, why Sarah called Abraham master? Because her thoughts ain't your thoughts. He said, their thoughts are higher than your thoughts. He said, what? He said, why do they do that? That's crazy. That's stupid. Exactly. But it says right here, even such as can shake the heavens. Why do you think Yahushua, he healed the woman with a healing thought? He said, I just thought on it. He healed my body. Because her thoughts ain't your thoughts. Her ways ain't your way. Yahuwah about thought made the shines in the earth. Matter of fact, all he did was thinking. He said, before the beginning was, I was there with you. One is one brought up with you. Wisdom was there before earth even was. Before the sea got its decree. And it says, for to no other creature is the kingdom of the earthly mother says, for no other creature in the kingdom of the earthly mother is it given the power of thought. For all beasts that crawl and the birds fly live not of their own thinking, but the one law that governs all. Only the sons of men is given the power of thought, even that thought that can break the bonds of death. What do you mean, break the bonds of death? Death is swallowed in victory. He said you can break the bonds of death on your life just by your thoughts, just by your consciousness, just by your makashah. Do not think because it cannot be seen that thought has no power. He's like, man, my thoughts ain't got no power. Oh, yes, it does. I tell you truly, if you don't believe you're a Kaliyil, he said it has power over you. If you don't believe you're a Kaliyil, you believe that he said you got power, he said it ruling over you. And get what it says. Even that thought can break the bonds of death. Do not think because it cannot be seen that thought has no power. I tell you truly that the lightning that cleaves to the mighty oak, or the quaking that opens up cracks in the earth, they are as the play of children compared to the power of thought. That was like Yahushua renting the temple in two, that's like play of children. He said, I liken you to children in the marketplace. He said, a great and powerful people, such as there never was, as Yahuwah said. He said, before they're going to quake the earth. He said, man, that's like child's play. He said, man, how powerful are you? He said, I ain't rose to my power yet. I ain't got to my supernatural being. I ain't taking on divine nature. I'm not adding to my amunah. That's the reason why. You haven't added to your amunah brotherly kindness, sisterly kindness. You haven't added to your amunah these things that are essential, that you will never fall. That's the reason why. And he said, compare the power of thought. Truly each thought of darkness, whether it be malice or anger or vengeance, these wreak destruction like a fire swelling through, dry killing under a windless sky. He said, man, they'll destroy you. He said, man, you have those thoughts, man, you'll destroy everything. In your life, you'll destroy everything within you, and you'll destroy everything outwardly. And get what it says. And it says, but man does not see carnage. Why? Because their lamp went out. He said, your eyes are in the dark. He said, you can't see it. And get what it says, nor does he hear the pietous cries of his victims. He said, you don't even see people saying, man, look what you did. He's like, man, you don't even hear the cry of the victims. Why do you think they even have pity on Yahushua on the cross? He said, I look for pity, I ain't find none. He said, man, you like those people that's at the bottom of Yahushua on the cross. And he said, they don't even care. He said, they can't see it. Unless they see with their eyes, understand with their heart, hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and they be converted. and their light come back on. That's what Yeshayahu said. He said that. He said, but Yahuwah has poured out upon you the ruach of deep sleep. Eyes that you cannot see and ears that you cannot hear. And people saying, why would he do that? So he can put you in darkness that you were calling me when I put you in real big trouble. He said, man, I don't see no way out. He said, that's the only way you're going to call on me with a true heart. I got to put you to a point where you have no help and there's nobody around and there's nothing you can do about it, and then you'll call upon me with a true heart. And get what he says. But man does not see his carnage, nor does he hear the pious cries of his victims, for he is blind to the world of the spirit. Why do you think Yahushua Mashiach was blind for? They didn't understand that Yahushua Mashiach was on the totality on the cross, and they didn't know they were blind to the Ruach. They didn't understand what was going on. They didn't understand what was going on with him. And why did the sun darken? Why are he crying out? Why he doing all this for us? Why he making us beautiful again? Why he crying, live, live? Why he doing all this? Why he leaping over wall? Why he shrieking out? Why his thoughts ain't y'all thoughts? Why he doing all this stuff? He's like, man, they can't even perceive it. He said, the only reason you can't perceive it is for he is blind to the world of the spirit, the Ruach. That which is of flesh is flesh, but that which is of Ruach is Ruach. He said, man, I don't understand a karos. I don't understand that stuff. And he says, this is the last thing. But when this power is guided by the Kudash wisdom, then the thoughts of the son of Yahuwah, Adam, lead him to the heavenly kingdoms, and thus is paradise built on earth. Isn't that, he says, it's not written in your law? In Yeshayahu 54, it said, all thy children shall be taught of Yahuwah, all your builders, your banah. And it says right here, it says, built on the earth. Then it is that your thoughts uplift the souls of men. As cold waters of a rushing stream revive your body. So it's just like cold waters in a rushing stream revive your body in the summer heat. Amen. It's just like the summer heat. Just like cold waters in the summer heat. Whew. So you ever jumped in the river and it's hot outside and that water hit your skin? Whew. He said, I just revive your body just like that. He said, I just wash you clean. And get what he said. All right. So this is the last thing that just popped in my mind. So this is the book of, I think it's Yukinan. Book of Yukinan. Book of Yukinan. It's the book of Yukinan. It's the book of Yukinan, chapter 15. Yukinan, chapter 15, verse 1. Yukinan, John, chapter 15, verse 1. It says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch of me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes it. He said he tukah. He reproves, he corrects it. That's the only reason that's the only way you're gonna be able to, because the correction and reproof is a way of life. He said, my son and daughter, despise not the chastening of Yahuwah. If you endure chastening, Yahuwah deal with you as his children. He said, Yahuwah chastens whom he loves. He said, why would he chasten somebody I don't love? Your parents ain't gonna chasten no. He's like, man, I love my children. He said, why would I do that? Because I'm trying to keep them in the way they should go. I'm trying to train them in the way they should go. So when they old, they won't depart from me. And it says, for he takes away, and every branch that he does bear fruits, he prunes, that they may bear more fruit. He said, bear more. So he said, yeah, Yahuwah's like, I want more fruit. I want more productivity. And the only way I'm going to get productivity, he said some branches got to get pruned, some things got to get cut off, and guess what? Some other things got to start growing. And get what it says. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Because nobody can hide from the heat. He said, Yahuwah, I'll make it hot, but then also I'll send a cool water to dry your soul. And it's like a cool water, a bunch of water just hit my body. And get what it says. Because of the word that I have spoken to you. As rain and snow come down from Charmaine, so is the bar to be that go out of my mouth. It shall be accomplished what it's sent to do. It shall succeed from which I sent it. He can get what he says. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself. He said, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. He said, it cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. He said, wait in two branches next to the seven golden lampstands, seven torches, the seven lampstands with the seven bowls, the seven lips, with the two olive trees. He said, y'all the branches. I need some oil produced. Because if you don't produce any oil, then guess what happens? I can't see. So, therefore, the lamps are gone. He said, that's one way the lamps are going to continue to burn. You got to start producing some olives. And he goes, unless you abide in me, I am the vine. You are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, the king, Yahushua, sitting on David's throne, not Athaliah, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch that withers. And the branches are gathered and thrown into the fire and burned, just like the Aramaic Targum said. Every fruitful tree, you ain't supposed to cut down. But all the unfruitful trees used for building and burning. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatsoever you wish, and it will be done for you. What happened to Shamshu? He asked Yahuwah for strength. Because he did a little evil, but some of his words, man, I still see something in there. Yahuwah, he's like, man, Yahuwah, we need some help. And he'll be given to you. People say, man, I ain't got no power. I said, man, you gotta believe. I mean, you gotta believe in the city that's pure gold that's gonna come from higher Shaman. He said, you gotta believe you're that place. But he said, oh, you're blind to the spirit. And get what it says. By this, my Father is Kabod, glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. You gotta prove that you're righteous. He said, man, you gotta prove it. He's like, you gotta prove that you're righteous. He's like, nah, I ain't gotta do nothing. He's like, no, you gotta prove that you're righteous. Says, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. He said, Yahuwah, man, I love you. Because you know why he loved us? Because he told us all his heart. Because we are Delilah. Because we are Delilah. That's why he loved us. He told us all his heart. Because we are the darkness. And he's trying to make us light. Abide in my love. Because I told you all my love. He said, I told you all my heart. And he's saying, abide in my love. He said, love covers a multitude of sins. Right? It covers a multitude of sins. Right, so we look at all of that, and there's a lot more, but right, just like Shamshun's name means, it means like the sun. Right, his name means like the sun. And we look at his name being looking like the sun. He said, you're going to shine just like the sun. Right, let me read that. Right, it says right here, this is Matthew 13. Matthew 13, 37. It says, he answered, the one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man, Adam. The field is the world, and the good seed, the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one. He said darkness, but he said the evil one. And the enemy who sowed them is Satan. He said, why you telling me to get rid of all the seeds of Satan that's been sown throughout the week? It's for a reason. And it says, the harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the Malachim. He's going to send his Malachim. He's going to be saying things that the people ain't even written in the books. He's like, where y'all get that from? And go what he says. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his Malachim, and they will gather out of his kingdom. You say, this ain't your kingdom. People say, this ain't my, because you know who's sitting on the throne? A man goes sit on the throne of David. He's like, this ain't my kingdom. Don't be. He said, we ain't like a Thalia. We ain't like a Delilah either. He like, that's his kingdom. This is Malchut. He gonna gather out of his kingdom all that causes sin and all the lawbreakers, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. After he do all that, guess what's gonna happen after that? Then the righteous will shine like the sun. Because the righteous can't shine like the sun. He said, I got to get all these people out of here who's causing people to commit sin. So anybody out here that's causing people to commit sin, it doesn't matter whether you're man, male, female, mother, father, sister, brother, grandfather, pastor, teacher, evangelist, Nabi'im, prophet, officer, commander-in-chief, people in the highest order, I say all up in the highest, in the General Assembly, corporations, CEOs, people who doing anything that's causing people to commit sin, pornography industry, head CEOs, people creating songs that making people evil, all this stuff. Yahuwah like, I'm finna get rid of you. He's like, why would he do that? Then the righteous will shine like the sun. Because you causing people to commit sin, and they can't see my light. He said, then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has an ear, let him hear, or her hear. Right, so this is part of my, this is the last thing. So this is Book of Psalms. The Book of Psalms. This is the Book of Psalms. The Book of Psalms, 57:5. It says, be exalted, O Elohim, above the heavens. Why do you think Yahushua was exalted on the cross? He above all the Shabbat Shammai, the seven heavens. The seven stars. How do you say? The seven stars. You get what it says? Let your kabod be over all the earth. They set a net for my steps. My soul was bowed down. They dug a pit in my way, but they have fallen in themselves. He said, all that causes sin, Yahuwah said, I'm going to make you all. I'm going to get rid of all of you. You're going to fall into your own stuff, your own pit. And guess what's going to happen after that? My heart is steadfast, O Elohim. My heart is steadfast. I will sing, I will sing and make melody. He said, how the righteous going to shine like the sun? He said, I'm going to sing and make melody. Awake, my glory. my kabod. What's the glory of a woman? Her hair, her jewel, her bracelets, her ornaments, and everything she decked herself. What's the glory of a man? His strength, his koach. And he says, my glory, awake, O harp and lyre. Awake. What was in his right hand? 7 stars. When Yahushua said to the woman or the man, he said, stretch out your hand. And his right hand that was with her, it came back. And get what he said? Awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. I will awake the dawn. The dawn. Because he prepared the tent for the sun. And what he gonna wake the dawn to do? Because they're gonna shine like the what? Like the sun. What dawns in the morning? The sun. So what he gonna make? I will wake the dawn. I will give thanks to Yahuwah, O Yahuwah, among the peoples. Okay. So you shine. So how you gonna shine? How you gonna shine like the sun? I will sing praises among the nations. That's how you gonna shine like the sun. When did Shamshun really shine? When he was right in the middle of the nations. He said, that's when I shone like the sun. When I lost all my vision, my strength, that's when I shone like the sun. And guess what? Everything came back, and he was like, they causing you to commit sin. But once I get rid of them, that's causing you to commit sin, then all your strength will come back. Your darkness is going to be turned to light again. And you're going to shine just like the sun. He said, why would I stop singing? He said, if you opposed to me singing among the nations, if you opposed to singing among the peoples, then guess what Yahuwah say? I'm going to get rid of you. Then they're going to shine like the sun. He's like, I got to get rid of you. He's like, you ain't going to do it. He's like, no, I'll do it. And get what it says. For your steadfast love is great to the heavens, to the 7 heavens, Shabbai Shamayis, and your faithfulness to the clouds. And so look at all that. Look at truth. Look at knowledge and understanding. Look at the understanding that Yahushua Mashiach did not come to die for, not only to die for our sins and to do more in his death than he was alive, but also to get inside of our heart that illumination may take place within our thoughts and the dawning may take place. Right? So that the dawning may take place and the day star rise in your heart. Right? So we look at our inward man, we look at our inward being and the powers of ourself and our inner man and our right hand and our 7 eyes within our body, even with the unification of the 7 lampstands, the olive tree, and the 7 lips, and everything in unison working to keep the lamp continually, the torches continually burning within oneself. For the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light. Just like we said, Aleph Yukanan says, I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. Right? I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. You gotta be perfect. You gotta be Tamim. You gotta say, put off the old man and put on the new man. And you gotta shine your light. You gotta be a light in the aura. You gotta walk in love. Even as Kaf said it, Peter said it. You have to walk in love and speak as the oracles of Elohim. And you have to add to your supernatural being all the things that are essential, that you may never fall. And you must do it continually. That your light and your love and your compassion may be exemplified to all nations. And that your light may continually burn at both male and female, and child in the earth, at both mother and father in the earth. Right? For we are his offspring of Yahuwah. And the belief of him within ourselves allows us to resonate and radiate, and allows us to radiate and prove our righteousness, not only amongst each other, but also to other people. Right? So we look at everything that's happening, for he's going to beautify the humble with salvation. Right? Beautify the meek with salvation. And those people will inherit the earth. Right? Those people will inherit the earth. For all Yasharal ain't Yasharal.